take it and utilize it before the tower plates go down. If you don't do that, and the second Herald Shirley spawns after 14 minutes, then it's utilized entirely to just break open, like, generally the mid lane tower, because that's already late enough where the outer towers should have fallen.
Interesting to have a little look at the purchases on these two backs for the ADCs. Already getting that BF sword in for Aphelios. He'll be looking to do as much damage as he can. Has fallen slightly behind on CS to the Varus, who had just got himself a Vampiric Scepter to go alongside that Doran's Blade. We do see the Dragon being started up, but it was started up at the same time as a ward was being cleared out. So the Spectres know this one is going on. Whether or not they want to actually try and duel the Vikings, that's another story.
Definitely so, as we're seeing the early dragons matter so much less right now, actually, because the early dragons don't give you that many stats. It's how you snowball it into that dragon soul as quickly as possible.
Here comes the fight on the back of the Dragon, which was secured by the Vikings, but with the Equalizer put down, so much damage coming through. Charged Bandido getting the first kill of the kill onto the Fresh, but it's immediately turned as we see Varus taking down the Pike. Aphelios gets himself a double kill, taking down the Olaf, now looking for more. Deborah goes straight onto Divisius and gets the kill, but Jax takes down the Rumble. Bread in a can, manages to get the counter-strike, stays alive on the smallest amount of health as the triple kill comes in for Aphelios, and just like that, he's online.
And Childish Brandino with the flamethrower living up to the name ends up getting a triple kill off the back of that dragon fight, and it started actually pretty well for the side of the York Vikings, who saw a really nice Rumble ultimate. We saw him get a couple of key rotations off where he was able to do so much damage in that fight. Varus kiting so effectively, but it was the counter-strike from Jax denying so much damage, and then Aphelios just consistently DPSing without having any threat onto him that allowed him to pick up those 3 kills. And even though they lose the dragon, that fight is so much more important.
And as you say, 2 key parts of that fight. Number 1 was the counter-strike, the negation of the damage and the stun coming afterwards, which not only was there at the beginning of the fight negating damage, but also right at the end as well, because it should have been another kill coming in for the Vikings, but instead we did see the Jax living on just a tiny fraction of health. The other thing was, as you say, the flamethrowers there. Infernum was selected in the main slot for the Sutton Spectres ADC. He was able to pick himself up 3 big old kills, and alongside that BF sword, he's now got a Caulfield's Warhammer. Cobra is slightly caught out, to say the very least, but he immediately dashed himself to safety, and in comes the Jack, there comes the Jarvan, and just like that flash over the wall from Deborah, he gets himself to safety as a root is going to connect onto Brendan McCann, who's trying to get to safety. He's issued the Grandmaster's Might and is pretty tanky. Raikitoso trying to do what he can on the Olaf, dodges away from the Bone Skewer, and a really feisty game between these two teams.
Yeah, both teams throwing everything at each other, but nothing going to arise from it in that fight. So it's just going to be resetting, and this is really what you need from the Sutton Spectres, though. They need to be looking for these skirmishes where Pyke, post-level 6, can find those key ultimates, can find those pick-offs, where he needs to be getting that snowballing gold from his ult passive to be able to turn this game in their favor. Otherwise, like we said, the ornaments will come through. The Rumble plus Varus is just going to be so much of a menace in the late game as well. It just needs to be something done as soon as possible.
Meanwhile, in the top lane, there is a very, very even game going on, as we do see a Lilligant just going on forward, trying to get some damage onto Fear Beyond Death. Lilligant so far has been pushed on turret for a long time, but the CS is dead even.
Yes, and what we've been seeing, we talked about it a little bit earlier. The change that Riot made, where they've said that now that they want to try and introduce new champions to the jungle. We saw, like, Mordekaiser was mentioned, Garen, Darius. And I'm interested to see where they go next. As with big trade in the top lane, looks like Ornn should just be able to walk away, however.
Fear Beyond Death does go mega on the Gnar, but isn't able to connect with the house.
I wanted to say to you, Stan, what champion do you really want to see available in the jungle? What champion do you think that isn't available right now that you'd love to?
I will answer that one in just a moment, because
they're going to walk away. Don't worry about it. They just walk away.
I thought Olaf was going to get to do something, but he wasn't.
If the hook was landed or the play was towards him, either of those would have been good, but he flays him away.
In answer to your question, it's my favourite champion, and it's Shen. I've played it jungle a little bit before, a couple of small changes, and I think it could be a viable option, and I would absolutely love to be able to play that.
I definitely think that's a good option. One that I really like to see, as I mentioned before, is Lucian, because Lucian is a champion that's borderline to working in the jungle right now. If you give him just a small change, he could actually be one of the top-tier junglers. It would be really interesting to see him as a flexible pick into that jungle role.
Can the same be said for Vayne?
No. Vayne is not... She just doesn't work. Completely immobile.
Herald gets picked up by Bread in. Can able to get that one free and easy for his team. Going to be popping it down in the top lane, trying to get some of those turret plates.
And this is where we need to see actually how how they utilize this Rift Herald, where they choose their advantage needs to be snowballed most. Because some people would say Pyke is the one you need to snowball. He's the guy that is going to be enabling the rest of the team with those ultimates.
Cataclysm onto Deborah. Here comes the Pyke. It's going to be over the wall from Deborah. That's going to be Cobra using the Death from below, trying to get the kill. The Ignite is down. Deborah is burning, is dead in the mid lane just as our second dragon is about to spawn. Cobra, that is going to be the Varus catching onto Cobra, but look at the damage coming through from Childish Brandino. He throws down the Moonlight Visual. Bread in a can is going to be able to pick up one, but the double kill comes in from the Olaf as the Call of the Forge God gets the knockup, and a complete wipe out of nowhere as the York Vikings take themselves 4 quick kills. They make it 5. Triple for the Olaf. Boom!
And the Olaf just does not die there. The Conqueror procs, and he runs them down with the Ornalt flanking, with the Varus flanking. He's able to pick off every single member as the York Vikings turn disaster into delight on that play.
And it was just Sudden Spectres forcing that little bit too hard, trying to get that pick out of nowhere onto Deborah, throwing down the Cataclysm. After the flash was burned, they should have left well enough alone, but chase they did, and as a result, they are losing out on this Infernal Dragon.
Yeah, and that's important now because they got both of the first 2 dragons. If Sudden Spectres are able to turn it around now and get every single Cloud Dragon, use that Aphelios ult and that Pyke ult as a massive existential threat every single time, then it can be huge. But if the 3rd dragon goes over to York Vikings now, this is where the huge threat comes. Having that constant, persistent threat of Cloud Dragon is about to... the Cloud Dragon Soul is available, is about to go over to the York Vikings. They have to fight, even if they are at a disadvantage, even if they aren't able to fight at the time.
We've got ourselves a 2,000 gold lead in favor of the York Vikings. They are, in comparison to the Sudden Spectres, something of a veteran of the scene, looking to try and pick up their first win here, trying to really set the stall for what they're going to be able to do for the rest of the season.
Yeah, so the early moves from the York Vikings have brought them back up a 1.7k in the lead at the moment. It's just providing them a lot of leeway to be able to rely on their scaling, because we mentioned already the Ornn, when he provides those ornaments, is going to be so effective. Is going for the Sunfire Cape as his first upgraded item. We know when he hits level 12, he just instantly gets that upgrade.
And Ornn is currently having to defend quite heavily, and it is going to be the Herald that is charging in, taking away 2 turret plates. A lot of gold going into Jax's pocket.
And the turret plates are definitely effective right now, but they are still quite far down, and they need to do something here. The Rumble ult cutting off one form of escape, but they're not quite committing enough to chase them down.
I think that is going to be a nice, easy walk away for the Sudden Spectres. Meanwhile, we do see the bot lane duos being exactly that. No Australia lanes just yet, as we do see good damage coming in. Childish Brandino just absolutely rattling off the damage. The box has been put down as we see a teleport coming in. Devious flashes his way out, is able to get to safety for now, but will Deborah be so lucky? The answer is no, they will not. Brendan can picking up yet another kill with a little bit of help from the Pyke.
And the TP doesn't go through to get them down there, so the bot lane play does go in favor of the side of Sutton as well. So they just win in multiple places on the map. Their gold lead is down to just 1k at the minute, but they need to find that first big move to blow open a tower to give them the ability to start rotating around the map, because rotations is going to be where they are strongest. You look at, like we said, the Jax, who's now 4-2, he's pretty strong as well. But Pyke and Jarvan, when they're roaming together, can pick off members so quickly once we see them freed up on the map. And you need to break down this tower to free them up. You need to break down the mid tower as well. The first tower going over to the Sudden Spectres here is a huge swing.
It is enough for them to almost cancel out the gold lead entirely. A really crucial moment in that last fight as we saw the teleport coming down. It was Rumble looking to join the fight, but that was cancelled out beautifully by Cobra on this Pyke, able not only not only to save the Jarvan, who almost certainly would have died in that situation, but also to pick up a kill as well.
Yeah, so when you're looking at this comp from the York Vikings, you don't need to buy into these fights consistently. You don't need to go so aggressive, but what it's kind of leading to now is them just getting caught out time and time again. We said this mid-game point when we're seeing around the level 9, 10 mark, hit by the Sudden Spectres, that's where they need to make their plays, and that's exactly what we're seeing at this point.
It is. It's a really, really tight game, actually. Both of these teams, of course, they've got so very much to play for this early in the season. They're looking to really show the rest of the teams they've got something to be afraid of. How would you feel if you're a Pirate or a Spartan or even a Lionheart watching this right now?
I'd be laughing my way to the bank. I don't know what you're talking about. But, I mean, when you see the Rumble mid not be able to outlane a Pyke, and you see Pyke mid picked in general, there's a lot of question marks there where you can just go, we could just play standard and try and control the lane to outplay this Pyke completely. and a lot of people will just be able to do that.
Call of the Forge God comes through. Lilligant laying that one down. The Rumble Equalizer on top, and Charge Brandino having to flash to safety, having taken so much damage from those two ultimates combined. Sutton Spectres again being forced off of any kind of fight, but not actually being forced off any objectives.
This is the thing, though. York Vikings have to think about this next dragon spawning. They have to play into the river right this second.
And that is exactly what they are doing. We do see that we are going to see Devious is caught out, but he goes in with a Cataclysm, knocked back by the Flay. Rocketozo picks up a kill. Rumble takes down the Jarvan, and Olaf on the back line completely obliterates Aphelios, who of course was flashless, and it is going to be Gnar trying to continue pushing the top lane, but he's going to lose his mid lane turret in response, and we are going to see almost suddenly a third dragon going over to the Vikings.
This is where Olaf is an absolute menace, and after picking up this many kills, the fact that he went Cinderhulk is actually pretty surprising. He should just go an AD route when you've got 6 kills as the Olaf. When you're allowed in these fights to just pop your ultimate, have 0 threat on you from anyone, just run people down with that Conqueror. Yeah, go for it. Go aggressive. Go for the Black Cleaver. Go a more bruiser-oriented build, because then you are able to be a late-game existential threat to that Aphelios. So he can't just kite people out, so he can't just get all that free damage. And then where is the persistent damage coming from for the Sutton Spectres after that?
A good question. Rather than the outer turret and the dragon, which I expected to see secured for the Vikings, instead we see 2 mid-lane turrets in a row for the Vikings. However, this does leave a route available for the Sutton Spectres to get themselves their first dragon of the game, and the Dragon's Soul will be delayed somewhat.
They concede that one for the fact that they got the mid lane tower, though. That's the trade. They got 2 mid lane towers, and then on the reset they lose the Cloud Dragon. They were well aware that had to happen. That was the only way that play could have gone that way. If they went back to the Dragon at that point, they'd have used all their ultimates, they'd have had nothing available, and they'd be sitting on all that gold from having won the 2 fights. They need to recall there so they don't throw their advantage.
So it's interesting to hear you say that, as we do see a lovely hook catching, but the question is there any follow-up for the Fresh? He's throwing the lantern out behind him as he connects the Flay. However, just doesn't seem like anyone's coming to join the York Viking support.
It's one of those moments where when you throw the lantern, it's a big bluff moment, because anybody could be there. It means they can't attempt to turn on you, because they know the 6-1 Olaf could be about to jump on them.
Instead, he is preoccupied with taking the Herald upon its second spawn. This one looks like it's going to go over to the York Vikings.
The York Vikings now looking to just take control of this river area, but now the TP has to come through. This is a big fight coming up again.
This is a full-on 5v5 after the 2 teleports. We
Front
see
to back.
Nice Rumble ultimate on top of the Call of Forge God. Complete obliteration. Deborah gets 2 kills. The Herald goes over to the Vikings. They get 2 more kills on top of that as well. And just like that, only the support Jarvan is left alive, having done absolutely nothing.
It's over. It's done. The game's over. That fight was so clean. The Ornn ultimate stopping everybody directly on top of the Rumble ultimate. They all take a full channel from it, and then Olaf able to run them down with his damage as well. Varus free hitting. The thing that we've not been talking about much, the fact that this composition is working is because the front-to-back mentality that has been implemented by the York Vikings. They got a Varus that is adept at shredding through tanks with Blade of the Rune King plus the Gwynsu's Rage Blade. We got Rumble, who's building Liandry's first item, adept at tank shredding. Ornn has all that percentage health damage. They are entirely designed to go through the front line, then run down the back line afterwards. It means that any tank line that you think you have from the Sutton Spectres is instantly deleted. And it just means that that burst isn't there, because you have to go through the Ornn, through the Olaf, to be able to even have a chance.
Interesting one here. We did see Rumble going top with the Herald there, picking up that final outer turret for the York Vikings. However, as a result, the Vikings not able to pick up the inhibitor, which they almost definitely would have got had they taken it mid.
Okay, but the thing is, I doubt this was on the mind, but if you take the inhibitor there, the super minions just push in and deny you so many waves. It denies you so much gold that you really want to be funneling at this point in the game onto your key members, because taking a really early inhibitor means that the wave gets pushed so deep that you don't have access to it. If you try and go to those minions, if you try and push that wave at all, you will die for it. So you lose 300, 500, even up to 1,000 gold just from taking that inhibitor, so you have to make use of it as soon as possible. Well, there's no Baron up.
Instead, Call of Forge God and a Death Sentence land on Charge Bandino. He's unable to do anything as the knockup is going to connect onto the Gnar as well, and the double kill comes in for the for the Ornn, making absolute highlight plays.
And there was no Baron up, but now, this time after this play, there is, so they can rush directly towards this. And Thresh is just going to be there to keep bread in a can out of the pit as well.
And it is going to be the work coming in from Jarvan to try and get some vision down. Meanwhile, his jungler is completely on the other side of the map, having essentially said, you know what, we see this one over, this is going to be Baron for the Vikings.
And the Baron, unless we see a move from the Jax who's farming bot lane for some reason, this is going to go over to Baron, so they don't even buy into a 50-50 in the slightest. Oh, good play, but forces the flash out from Cobra.
This time, lovely Lantern bringing the Olaf out to play, but it is going to be Cobra managing to get to safety. Has made a few very nice little plays on the pipe, but unable to pick up that large number of kills that not only would put a load of gold into his own pocket, but that of his teammates.
So what has to be on your mind if you are a Jax player there? Like, okay, they got 2 kills, they're going to go Baron. We have a 50-50 available. I'm just going to farm bot lane, and then we lose the tower immediately afterwards anyway because we lost the Barons. All the work I did is completely wasted.
He might be about to pay for that decision with his life flashing away, but it's not enough. Rocketoso is now 7, 1, and 8. An absolute monster on this Olaf.
And like we said, the entire work that the Jax did is completely erased, as they're going to use this Baron-empowered wave to take the last of the outer towers on this bot side.
I love that there, the Bone Skewer and then the Death Sentence, both just simultaneously landing onto minions.
Yeah, you just go for the homie miss. They missed. Oh yeah, I'll just miss as well.
Synchronized.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, yet more
It's
turrets
a
falling for the
minions.
falling for the Sudden Spectres. They are losing their base, 1 turret at a time. Varus is continuing the push in the mid lane, trying to get himself close towards that inhibitor. Is now starting to come around towards his team. Frozen Heart is on the Ornn. Good question. Why would you go Frozen Heart, Sin?
You wouldn't, because you'd either go Iceborne, which is still not worth it, or you'd even go Locket of the Iron Solari, because he's got a ton of health. You need to pick up one of the better Ornn items, because, like, okay, I'm going to quote LS here. That's dangerous, but it seems like he's allergic to free gold, because he's just denied himself 1,000 free gold by going for a random item that provides him nothing.
Well, he's still able to throw out those Core to the Forge Gods for days and get himself an assist, as we do see Cobra Jeebus getting his first kill of the game. Well deserved for this support, who's had a stunning game on the Thresh. Now looking to land another hook, flashed away from perfectly, but still we do see Rumble able to pick up a kill onto the Jarvan, and just like that, we are now 21 kills to 8. 10 minutes ago, this game was balanced really, really finely, but a couple of crucial team finds later, and an inhib is falling for the Spectres.
You know what it honestly seems like? It seems like it seems like the Ornn has told his team, Frozen Heart's one of the upgradable items, and both him and Olaf bought into it because they're both buying them, and they've not realized, oh wait, that's not true at all. Because now that's 2,000 gold being denied effectively from your key members, but at least the Might of the Rune King is picked up for the Varus. That's 1,000 free gold onto him. That's a bunch of extra attack speed and AD. It means that the item goes from 35, I believe, to 50 attack damage, and you get a bunch more attack speed as well. So it's very effective in giving you a bunch of stats.
Meanwhile, it does very much feel like we're just watching the Sutton Spectres bleeding out, as we do see the enhanced recall taking the York Vikings home to spend their ill-gotten gains. They'll come back once more onto the Rift stronger than ever before.
Yeah, there it is. There's the double Frozen Heart. This isn't TFT either, where you get to stack Frozen Hearts and they do more. It's an aura that works once. This is... And he's even bought Cinder Hulk, so he synergizes with the fact that he gets bonus health on health he buys, and he's gone for Frozen Heart.
Here comes a big old fight. It's going to be the Jarvan trying to start things up, just about able to step away from the Death Sentence. However, here comes the Thresh one more time, getting stunned up by Cobra. Core to the Forge God is going to be unleashed. We've already seen the box use, so we're not going to get that absolutely wonderful ultimate that we always love out of Thresh. Oh wait, no, he doesn't basically have an ult, but we are going to see another fight comfortably being won, even though they don't pick up any kills there, by the Vikings. Sutton Spectres sent scurrying back to their base, and now the top lane is under fire.
So the key issue for Pyke here is that at the key point in the game where he needed to snowball, where he needed to blow the game wide open, that very moment was where every single member of the York Vikings had picked up stopwatches. So every single time he went to ult to get that 600 free gold, every single time he kills someone with it, it gets denied. And being denied that over and over again has made the Pyke irrelevant at this point in the game, unless he can suddenly snowball 3 or 4 kills to get all that gold back for his team. Otherwise, it just means that Pyke's been completely inconsequential.
Yeah, and unfortunately as well, for the Sutton Spectres, you talked about it earlier on in the game, they do not have the scaling. They're going for a big old fight. The Gnar is fantastic. In comes the death from above, but no one is falling from the York Vikings. They pick up the first 2 kills, as we do see Pyke and Jax going back to the fountain. Jarvan will die too. Only Aphelios remains. He throws down the Moonlight Vigil, but it's not enough. The double kill for the Thresh. The final kill will go over to the Aphelios. He has the last word, but not the last laugh. The York Vikings will go 1-0 in this best-of-3 series in Group 1.
And I've got to give at least a little bit of credit to the Sutton Spectres. That was the best possible engage they could have had, but the armor stats are too high. There's no damage left for the Sutton Spectres. The York Vikings, they clean up, only losing 1 member to the tower of all things. And Sutton Spectres, as you say, just get bled out in Game 1.
Really, really convincing mid to late game from the York Vikings, taking this first streamed game of the Belong Arena Clash, something I'm sure they will be absolutely delighted about, but they'll be even more delighted if they can go and make it a 2-0. Taking the next game, what do the Spectres need to do to turn things around, to get their head in the right place, and then to come out and play better in the next game?
Well, they went for a very risky comp from the beginning, like we said. Jarvan support, Pyke mid. That was a risky flex that they made, and they weren't really able to do much with it, unfortunately. The Pyke had very little impact on the game, wasn't able to snowball at all once he hit that level 6 mark that we needed to see him land a couple of key ultimates, get that free gold for his team and snowball off of it. It just meant that they got outscaled by the Ornn, so they need to be more decisive in the mid game, for one, and they need to draft in a way that does not cause them to get hard outscaled by those ornaments. Because if you're on red side right now, you're acknowledging blue side's best chance is to just go Ornn and scale. So red side, what you have to do instead is either draft into scaling or ban the Ornn, or go early game enough that you punish the Ornn. There wasn't that either. Ornn 1 lane.
Here at Belong Arena Clash, we do have transitional sides, so we are going to go from blue to red every single game throughout the series.
Yes.
If it happens to go to a 3rd game, then we will be seeing York back on the blue side, but for the next one, they will be on the red side. Interesting bans came through. We talked a little bit about how Senna and I think it was Set were taken off the table. The Aphelios got through. Didn't do as much as maybe you would have liked from a champion that has so much power, but at the same time was probably the standout for its team.
So this is the thing right now. We're used to seeing Aphelios in the highest levels of competitive play. In Korea, in China, in North America, and in Europe. So what we're seeing now be the issue is that he didn't really utilize his item, his ammo usage effectively. So it meant that whenever a key fight was coming up or whenever a key fight was starting, he didn't make the move to get that Infernum ready. He was always using it to just... The entire Infernum usage was used to clear the wave. There was none of it left for team fights. So the ultimate for Infernum, we didn't even see that game once. So we need to see a player actually learn to... conserve his ammo at the right time and utilize it effectively at the given opportunities to snowball.
Because the one team fight where the Aphelios did get the triple kill, it was where Infernum was up.
Yes.
So what's the done... I mean, I've not played a huge amount of Aphelios myself. What's the done thing? Is it you leave the Infernum in the secondary for as long as you can while rotating through Gravitum and Crescendum, etc.?
It depends, because if you're going into a team fight, you need to have either Chakram or the... you need to have either the Chakram or the...
Calibrum?
Infernum ready.
Oh, okay.
Calibrum's fine. Chakram plus Calibrum's great, but any combo with Chakram is brilliant. Any combo with Infernum is great. You just need to have one of those. So when team fight's coming up, you either acknowledge, okay, my next weapon's the Chakrams. I need to push this ammo out as fast as possible to be ready for that, or you hold either of those two in your secondary slot and be ready to utilize it when that team fight comes, because we saw consistently, like that final, you see that final ultimate from Aphelios in that final fight, where he lands a 5-man ultimate with the root. If that was the Infernum, he actually had 2 free kills right there. I'm not even joking. Even that far down, when he's massively down in CS, massively down in items, 2 free kills instantly, he can stop the game ending.
All right, well, we may get to see the Aphelios again. It was nice to get a first opportunity to see it here on Belong Arena Clash. Something else that I'm pretty sure was the first time Belong Arena Clash was the Jarvan support.
Yes.
In a word, underwhelming.
In a word, inconsequential. I don't think it was really underwhelming. It did its job. It's just... its job wasn't big enough this game because the team wasn't snowballing, the team wasn't making moves, the team wasn't making plays that he could capitalize on. When they did, he was great. When they didn't, he fell behind. So what you need to see with the Jarvan support is more things to combo with it. What it ended up doing was, the whole Rorschach situation. I'm not stuck in here with you,
Yeah.
you're stuck in here with me, with an Olaf just killing everybody inside the Cataclysm. It's just kind of like that I'm Jarvan and I'm helping moment that really cost them quite dearly a couple of times, where Olaf was just freely hitting with the Conqueror, and I would definitely give my MVP of this game to that Olaf. He just cleaned up those crucial fights where it looked like the game was pretty much done for them. They were starting to fall apart. Pyke just needed to find a couple ultimates and the game would have been done. Instead, Conqueror Olaf picking up 5 kills on the back end of a fight that was already won is it's pretty nice.
So, game 1 in this best-of-3 series, it's in the books. We are getting ourselves ready for game 2 just as quickly as we can. We'll bring you into the Champ Select as soon as it happens. We'll see whether or not we see some adaptations. Personally, I'd be surprised if we saw another Pyke mid, another Jarvan support. I think that we've got to see the Sutton team changing things up a little bit, and whether or not the Spectres disappear like a Spectre or not will probably have a lot to do with that.
I think that's the point, that they picked the Pyke mid and the Jarvan support on a flex. So this is the team acknowledging that they have multiple people with the ability to play in multiple champions and try and flex on the fly to psych people out, to pull a trick. And that trick didn't work this game because they didn't really get beneficial enough matchups off the back of it. We saw the Pyke was actually winning lane early. Didn't do anything with it, wasn't able to roam because he's not level 6. What does Pyke do pre-6? Unless you've got a jungle that can go aggressive enough. And that's not Jax. Jax is good at ganking pre-6, but he's not, let's go hunt down the enemy jungler, I win every skirmish. Especially against an Olaf who says, I don't care about your counter-strike, I'm just going to hit you with the axes.
And I'm sure I'm not just thinking this myself, but that you said it earlier on and I'm just copying you. But that Pyke as well, it wasn't really allowed to roam, wasn't able to impact the other lanes because it's got a rumble that's just shoving into its face all the time.
It shuts him down, it controls the lane against him, and like we said, Sutton, they went for a tricky comp that's hard to execute. And you look simply at the York Vikings, that is one of the easiest to execute comps you'll see in 10.2, 10.3, what are we on right now?
3.
Yeah, that is one of the easiest to execute comps in 10.3. You've got Ornn top, Rumble mid, and then bot lane was a Varus. That is so easy to execute. You will consistently get every single fight you need. Then, if you were to make it ultimate ease of execution on top of that, you'd have Varus Braum as the bot lane. So you deny every single engage with the Braum as well, and be able to set up even more picks. And then the jungle, Jarvan's probably the best in that regard. He's probably the most easy to execute, and yet they chose to go for Jax instead. So this is, again, just leans into the issue.
Honest gut reaction? Spectres, will they bounce back and take the second game?
Gut reaction, no, but the ability is there. We saw them actually stay competitive for a long time in that game, but the draft let them down. The play style let them down. If they pick something that matches the way they're playing these games more, then I can see it working. And they're on the blue side now, so they have the ability to go for the Ornn, go for the scaling comp. We'll see if that is banned away by the York Vikings. If it is, the fallbacks could be interesting.
We'll look into those picks and bans as soon as they come to us. But in the meantime, I've had my my chance to say my piece about my two champions that I felt needed discussing coming into this patch: the Set, the Soraka. What about you? What are you particularly looking at in this patch?
Okay, so you were talking about Set and Soraka as the 2 champions to watch.
Yeah, champions to watch, or the just interesting things coming into this new split.
I'm actually really interested to see that Zoe's back again. I love seeing Zoe. Zoe's I
hate to see it against me.
I know this is a kind of heathen position, but I love seeing Zoe in competitive play.
Okay.
I've as a coach, I always draft around a Zoe. Love that because it's so easy to draft around when you've got this massively long-range pick potential. You pick a jungler like it was Camille back in the day, where Camille just has that massive long-range hook shot. The two of them comboed so well together. Nocturne does exactly the same thing, where Nocturne just ults in. I called it the good night combo, where you put them to sleep, you turn off the lights, and then you take them out. It's as simple as that.
I'm not sure that's what you meant to do. Like, the first 2 parts of that sounded perfectly nice for, like, I know, like a child's bedtime. Like, you make sure they're asleep.
Well,
you turn off the lights.
You take them out! And then Nocturne tells them a very nice story.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a PG one right there. So Zoe, that's potential that we might get to see later on, maybe in this next game, maybe not. But in fact, we're going to get to find out whether or not it is later on. We'll find out more champions you're interested in this split after this draft, because we are coming in with the Sutton Spectres on the blue side, getting to ban away first this time.
So we're going to see a little bit of a change up here because, as we said, blue side for Sutton Spectres. I want to see if the Ornn is prioritized in the bans. We saw both Lee Sin and Elise banned last time. We saw Senna banned. We saw the Set, which is being banned again by the Spectres, showing that they're not willing to first pick it, which is currently the case a lot in Korea. If you see Ornn banned away, Set's the best first pick.
So the Spectres not wanting to see Sasha Banks anywhere near. The boss is gone, and so is Lee Sin. Two pretty decent champions taken away. One mostly in the top, one mostly in the jungle. I say mostly. When's the last time we saw Lee Sin not in the jungle?
I'd actually like to see the boxer skin of Lee Sin in like a brawl sort of animation with Set.
Okay, so here's a question.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much you're like into like wrestling or UFC or anything.
Okay.
What move is Set's ultimate? This has been much debated, and I don't agree with anybody who's like said an RKO or a suplex yet.
No, it looks like a almost like an
oh.
I forget the name of it. Like almost like a reverse pile driver kind of thing.
Okay, so for me, I think it looks like some kind of twisting slam dunk powerbomb.
I can see powerbomb
Because their body flips. He like picks them up and then slams them down, but he's doing some weird sort of defying gravity Michael Jordan spin at the same time.
It is kind of like a powerbomb. I can definitely see that. It's not quite an RKO, but the animation, of course, grabbing somebody and then dragging them a long way as he's doing it does definitely suit that kind of idea. Yeah. And it's not a suplex because then they'll be going behind you.
Cool. Yeah.
Like, I mean, Singed is a lot closer to a suplex than Set.
If all the other casts are allowed to talk about what the move is, even if we have it banned every game, we should get to have say as well.
And what we're easy on first pick, Rumble banned away.
So we saw this last time round, but we saw it from the Vikings. This time it's going to go over to the Spectres. They're going to get all that free gold as long as they don't buy Frozen Hearts.
Don't buy Frozen Hearts if you're playing Ornn. Like
public service.
Okay. Iceborne Gauntlet there does a very similar thing, gives you a lot of armor. Unfortunately, it gives you a lot of mana as well, because the upgraded version gives you a lot more mana.
Frozen Fist.
Frozen Fist, yeah. Gives you a lot more mana than it does armor. It still gives you more armor than a Frozen Heart if you do go for the upgraded item. And that would have meant that both of them would have got 2k gold, or 2k gold between them in free stats. Instead, they went for an aura that doesn't stack. And it was very questionable.
With the Rumble banned away, we're going to see the Aatrox first picked. It can, of course, flex between mid and top, between Legend and Deborah. We're seeing the Aphelios now going over to the Vikings for the second time, picked up on the red side. In response, the Leona locked in for the Spectres.
Leona, much better roaming support than we saw last time, because the Jarvan can do things, of course, but Leona just does those same things, but better.
And it's going to look like it's paired up with the Misfortune. Leona Misfortune, a very, very popular
that's
combo.
Senna.
That's not a Misfortune. That's going to be a dazzling gleam coming out of the Senna.
I don't like this. I don't want to say I like this because Senna is a sack lane AD carry. And you've gone for Leona.
The engage that's trying to be proactive.
You've got a losing lane top lane because you're playing Ornn. You've got a losing lane bot lane.
Oh!
They are going to have, by the end of this draft, 3 losing lanes and a losing jungle matchup, and they're not going to even be able to do anything this game. I think that's going to be the issue for them if this current trend continues. It's
here. Bane of my existence. Soraka is in the game, and
it's Boyaka time.
A little bit of my soul just died. My soul is gone.
Oh no. Don't bring that back, please. Not again.
It already got brought back by the MK boys. It's all
I
good.
saw that on Monday, yeah.
Oh, I love that so much. Big love out to Dante wherever you are.
Gone.
We're going to have Olaf and Rek'Sai banned away, with neither of the teams having picked themselves up a jungler so far. Of course, this happened last time round, and we ended up seeing a Jax going up against the Olaf. Obviously, that's not going to be able to happen this time.
I really don't see the Xin Zhao ban here. I really don't. I like the Olaf ban, however, because we saw it last game be an absolute menace. Jarvan is already banned away. We're seeing a lot of jungle bans yet again. Easy ban here would be the Elise, because Elise Aatrox is still going to be a massive threat even if you are playing Ornn. So I think that would be a very simple one to ban away, but they go for the Sejuani instead, which I don't like, because Sejuani doesn't really pair the best with Aatrox. She pairs best with people who could at least go triples.
Do you know who's very happy to see the Sejuani ban?
Who, you?
Yankos.
Yankos.
Yankos is out there watching the stream.
Oh, of course.
Give us a shout out in chat, Yankos. And he's there going, yeah, keep on banning it. Let's get the LEC.
Like you said.
There's the LEC. There's the Elise being locked in.
So, potential here is the Soraka.
It's going to be Jax.
The Soraka can go to any role other than jungle.
Okay.
We can't go to ADC now because, of course, Aphelios is picked. It can flex with Aatrox. Aatrox can, of course, go mid. We've seen that plenty of times. And, of course, it can go support as well. So, we need to see how they try and utilize this Soraka. If it is just the support, it means it lacks the income really to be that hyper late game scaling threat. But what Sutton are doing is they're buying into the scaling. They're going for the
100%.
Vladimir, they're going for the Senna, they're going for the Ornn. Unfortunately though, as I've said, 3 losing lanes. If we see another aggressive pick here from York, and again Kane, he does nothing in the early game. He needs to get to that transformation. If you go for another early game pick here, aggressive early game, send Soraka bot lane, go for the likes of a LeBlanc mid. I know LeBlanc is banned, but something along those lines. Something that wants to get in the enemy's faces. And they really struggle to get to that phase of the game. And you've got a Soraka to keep that alive in the later stages. This works. And I like this pick.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. The Vikings are going in for complete obliteration, giving themselves a little bit of late game in there as well. Of course, massive damage can come out of the Aphelios. The Soraka is a pain in the behind. Yasuo can turn into an unstoppable monster, as can the Aatrox. Meanwhile, the Sutton Spectres, it is all about the late game. And last time around, they didn't get to a late game.
Yeah, they definitely didn't last time around. We saw that be an issue for them, where they just bought into that mid-game power spike, like we said, and they weren't able to do anything with it. But
you dented it, dude.
I'm sorry.
You broke a little bit of my heart.
I didn't mean to. I'm so sorry. I'm going to move on. You should too. I'm sorry. York Vikings here, going for the Soraka. I actually really like how it pairs with their composition, because the Aatrox likes to go hyper-aggressive, likes to have like a 1v3, 1v4 situation in the backline. Having the healing from the Soraka on top of that, with the dive buddy of the Yasuo, gives them a lot of potential to win these later game skirmishes. And so I'm excited to see how these two are utilized together, and if the Soraka can keep them alive.
One of the things I'm really picking up on here is the heal being picked up for Soraka, which is obviously very commonplace these days, and you see it all the time in solo queue. The Soraka locks in and goes, "Hey ADC, you don't have to take heal anymore. Take another summoner spell."
Well, it's
Aphelios
also a
going
pick
for the cleanse.
Some people are just doing that as like Braum support because you're up against the Leona. So this is becoming more and more common, where you just go, okay, I'll go cleanse, you go heal, because I can't handle a full CC combo from a Leona. She keeps me CC'd for 6 years and still does more damage than most champions in the game on 0 income. And like basically, jungle and support are the same. It's just that like jungle is trying to stop 3 kids touching hot stoves repeatedly, and the support has a side job as a babysitter. They are exactly the same besides that. So Leona does exactly the same damage as a jungler, has more CC than a jungler. It's just she doesn't have the same responsibilities as a jungler. She's only responsible for 1 person, not 4.
Would you like a fun fact I just made up?
Go ahead.
All of Leona's CC, all the seconds and milliseconds of it added up together, still lasts less time than a Morgana Q.
But that is incorrect.
That's how
played root into Q into ult.
That is how it feels.
But it's a root compared to 6 seconds of immobility and stun. You're just done if you get hit by that full Leona combo. Did you see an LEC Perks nearly got 1v1'd by a Leona as Zoe? Because Leona just walked up to him, pressed all her abilities in melee range, and completely outdid him for the entire fight, because
low-key
can't do anything.
Low-key, one of my favourite champions to play in ARAM is full AP Leona. Great fun.
Do you remember when Dark Harvest was the most broken thing?
Yes.
I went full tank Leona with Dark Harvest and still ended up with 50 stacks by the end of the game, one-shotting people. It was the most fun I've ever had in an ARAM.
Same, except for me, it was playing AD Thresh, maxing...
Oh god,
maxing E,
Crit Thresh.
Dark Harvest, Infinity Edge. I think it was 3 Infinity Edge, yep, and boom!
Did you get the static shiv? You just go bop, and then her entire health bar disappears.
It's the South Park banker, and it's gone.
And it's gone, yeah. You had a health bar.
Not so much now.
Past tense.
Yeah. By the end, I wasn't even able to get Dark Harvest stacks because I was just killing them from 100 to 0, so you don't even get into that percentage. Well, we've got ourselves a game here. It is the second game between Sutton Spectres and the York Vikings. Sutton Spectres looking to bounce back after losing their first ever long arena clash League of Legends match up against the Vikings. Vikings looking to 2-0 this series to set themselves out as a bit of a contender going into Group 1. Very much so the group of death here for the spring split. It's a tough old one. Who's going to be able to make their way out, get themselves into the semi-finals or even the quarterfinals? Time will tell. But right now we are almost ready for the big fight to break out. Last time it started with the 5-man group up of the York Vikings. They invaded, they got spotted out, and for some reason Anar then walked into them.
Yeah, no, I just ended up face checking and dying in that one. But I actually want to talk about the comps in general and the win conditions here, because I want to look at the side of the York Vikings. So we've got that Soraka. They've got a lot of denial to the key engage. You look at the idea that Soraka is just going to be healing people up consistently. You look at the Yasuo wind wall that just blocks an Ornn and just instantly wins you out in that trade where you trade a basic ability for an ultimate. It's not even like Braum where you still get hit by the CC. It's just, oh, it's gone. Again, it's poof, it's gone. And so it means that they really need to snowball hard in the mid game to the point where they're making Sutton Spectres do desperate moves like that. Otherwise, the sustain of the sustained damage that they have when you look at all their members is actually far better than the York Vikings. York has much more of a burst combo sort of setup, and the only sustain they have is the Soraka. So I feel like the Soraka is just going to get worn down so much in these fights, while Vladimir is actually able to heal decently through it.
Once again, it is the blue side team. This time the Sutton Spectres, who look for the 5-man group up, look to try and make a play early on in this second game. Are they going to be able to catch onto Aphelios? Is he paying attention? Will we see the...
No, he's just alt-tabbed out looking at his Spotify playlist. What do you mean?
I was so excited to see some potential shenanigans, and then instead Leona walks a completely different direction. Fear beyond death. He just steps up and checks out what is going on, putting a little bit of vision. In fact, not even putting vision. Did he put vision down in the end? I don't think he did, but Soraka certainly thinks that he did, and maybe that was the bluff all along.
Yeah, we do see the ward, though, from the York Vikings. Just going to spot out the river, stop any shenanigans from that. As
it's a good word, isn't it, shenanigans?
Definitely. Yeah. But the thing I'm looking at here is really odd to see. This is the first time I've seen in a while, actually. The start of red buff from a Kayn. Normally you see Kayn's just starting on the Raptors because his Q does so much bonus damage that you shred the Raptors to pieces and can solo them completely, meaning your bot lane gets easy prio. You don't need that leash. Instead, opts in for the leash, maybe just wanting to get a bit more healthy of a first clear, and we'll see how that works out for him.
Okay, Kayn is indeed just clearing it on up, going towards his blue buff. At least already has got one of those, just clearing out the blue side jungle as quickly as possible. Moving now towards the Wolves. Slow, steady start from both the junglers. We'll look in towards their ganking perhaps later on as they start impacting the lanes.
So now we have to see how these lanes will play out, though, because this is a really early aggressive move from Deborah. Uses the Ignite in trade for the Flash, and this is what you want to see. You want to see the Yasuo getting in the face of these scaling champions. Like you said, when we were asking for this more aggressive mid laner, was just don't let them free scale. Make them go down 20 CS in lane. Make them go down a decent amount to the point where their mid game is weak. They can't team fight. They have to rely on their late game scaling, and you have enough of an advantage then and there.
Oh, he is flashless, and he is dead. That is going to be Deborah getting the... Sorry, not Deborah, but the Elise getting the first blood. Meanwhile, Lilligant trying to get away, trying not to let a kill come back in retaliation. But despite the red buff burn, Lilligant is not going to die, chugging those health potions to stay alive.
At least he's going to start getting towards that red form here. That's the first step, is... Even if you don't think you can get a kill on a gank,
get the
if
damage.
You're playing the Kayn, exactly. Get the damage, get those souls stacking, because you know when you see the Kayn not get his transformation until the 16-minute mark, you know how worthless that champion is in this basic form. So he needs to do something as early as possible. Even then, just a couple more of those stacks on a melee champion, bit by bit, adds up.
That is exactly what is happening. There might be some more to be had, but this time there is an Elise coming in response. Windwall thrown down by Deborah. Damage coming
but
through.
Don't do that.
Deborah gets a kill and looks for a second. Cobra dashing away does get knocked up by the tornado, but he's going to be able to stay alive. Not so lucky was Bread in a Can.
Yeah, that really good start for the Yasuo, though. Now 1-0-1 already gives him so much of an advantage coming into these... this sort of level 6 mark where we're looking at, where he can actually solo kill this Vladimir completely.
And we spent so much time talking about what that Kayn could do, but in the end it was the Elise who has been more influential, unsurprisingly, in this early game, already involved in 100% of the kills in this game.
And they're playing to their team composition. They understand what their win condition is, and they've bought into it. We go for the early aggressive moves with the Elise and the Yasuo, were able to capitalize on the fact that the enemy team has gone for a composition that is much weaker in those early phases because it does scale so well, and deny them their ability to scale, stop them from ever hitting that late game potential.
Meanwhile, we do see the good damage being put down by Lilligant, unable to quite hit the sweet spots to get the pullback on Fear Beyond
If he hit that
Death.
Q2, Fear Beyond Death was dead. Simple as that. That was, really nice moves again by Deborah.
We can see Cobra's really struggling without having that flash. Yasuo just completely dominating him in the lane. However, managing to stay just about level on CS, but he might be about to give up another kill if he is not careful. That is going to be the pool used by Cobra just to get to safety, and once again, almost forced out of the lane, Elise is lurking in the wings.
This kind of feels exactly like the last game where Deborah's going, I know what you did on Pike. I want to get revenge for it. I want to treat you like I was treated when I was shoved in consistently for that early game.
Meanwhile, it is a slow burn game in the other lanes. No kills just yet. It is all about the action in this mid lane. Vlad not having the best of times at all.
Yeah, he's still not too far down in CS, surprisingly. He's been able to hold on a decent amount, but an early Berserker Greaves from the Yasuo has made it so much easier to run him around this lane.
This is just so scary, and very soon we're going to see the level 6 coming in for Deborah, which will mean that once those tornadoes land, he'll be able to go in. The Infernal Dragon was picked up by Elise too.
But this is the exact point of the comp. This is exactly what we've been referring to so far. Don't allow them to scale and punish them. They didn't need to win a team fight and rotate 3 people to take a dragon. The lane pressure in all 3 lanes is enough
Complete
for
priority.
the Elise to take it on her own. Soraka roamed over just to heal her up a couple bits at the end. Other than that, complete priority of the lanes is what they're utilizing, and it's going to allow the Elise to hopefully get in the face of Kayn and stop him from ever being able to get that transformation by pinning him down into his own jungle.
And another classic example of what's going to happen in these lanes comes in with the purchases coming through from the Vikings and the Spectres ADCs. We see the BF sword there for the Aphelios, while Senna only picking up the tier.
Yeah, this is pretty rough for him. Oh, early flash on that. Was that Deborah flashing?
I'm not 100% certain. I thought it was.
It had to be because
first,
the flash isn't available for Cobra.
Perhaps just trying to position to make sure that tornado got knocked up. Not quite going to happen. However, level 6 for Deborah is there, so you've got to make sure that, you've got to feel that Cobra is feeling a little bit in the danger zone right now.
Yeah, Cobra is definitely struggling to keep up in this laning phase. And the problem you've got when you play Vladimir, and so many people are just so willing to spam that W key whenever it looks like they're going to take even a modicum of damage. But the W costs 20% of your health, so you're using so much of your health just to stay alive in a combo where you're causing yourself to take just as much damage as the ability you dodged would have done.
Yeah, it's all about the potential follow-up damage, and with the Ignite once again available for the Yasuo, you've got to assume that if we see a last breath coming out of Deborah, it could very well be the last death.
Exactly my point. You have to hold on so much to having that W cooldown ready whenever Deborah is looking to land one of those key combos to start the engage. And Deborah's looked consistently in these melee range combos like it is going to be a life or death situation, and he needs to use that W, so he's doing really well to pressure this cooldown.
And here comes Deborah again, already forcing the pull so early. That's going to be the wind wall thrown
actually would have
down.
tanked that one.
From Deborah's perspective?
If you are Cobra, tank that lockup, tank the ultimate, because you've got Kayn right there next to you, and you know you've still got the pool available when you come out of it, so he can't even utilize the armor penetration from it. It would have been so easy. Instead, just wants the extra safety, maybe not communicating well with bread in a can.
Blue steal
run down
from Rakitozo, who wants more than just the blue. Looking for the kill, forces the flash out of Kayn. Here comes Deborah chasing down the Vladimir. We turn our attention towards the bottom lane, where once again the Sutton Spectres are finding themselves able to shove up. I say once again, this is the first time.
Just the pool being utilized from Cobra to get him out of that one. Going to keep him safe, but still 10 CS down in that lane, 10 CS down in the bot lane, minor CS lead in the top lane as well. This is all adding up so effectively to give this gold lead to the York Vikings. It's very similar to the gold lead we saw last game, but the tail of the game has been very different. Last game it was very much the other way around in mid lane. It was Cobra constantly pressing the advantage.
While all this is happening, Elise picking up that Herald free and easy. So much pressure in all of the lanes, so much priority that the Vikings will get yet another early objective. 9 minutes and that Herald will go over to Elise.
9 minutes into the game. We've already seen that one, meaning the second one is going to spawn at that 14-minute mark, just after the turret plates have fallen, when you're looking to instantly knock down a tower with it. So we'll see how this first one's utilized. Seems to be just to push the Yasuo ahead as it's being dropped mid.
That was a nice defensive maneuver from the Soraka, keeping themselves in a nice health position despite the engagement of the Leona. That's going to be a couple of easy shards, both going into the pocket of Rakitozo. It's not looking great right now for the Spectres, who are already 1-0 down, as yet again we see the pool used defensively by Cobra. Going to have to say that another 100 or so times in this laning phase. The Vikings have got a 2k gold lead and they want more.
I think this game is going to be very different to the last one. Last one we saw Sutton just actually able to contest, play so well with their aggressive moves. Around this sort of point in the game, they're able to do that. But in this game, they don't have the ability to make those proactive moves, so York Vikings can just choke them out consistently, gain advantage after advantage, and give themselves enough of a lead that they can be the ones to force their pressing advantage come the mid game.
So the name of the game for the Spectres is damage limitation, making sure that the Vikings have not gone and run completely out of sight by the time the Spectres are actually able to put down a final dash.
Damage mitigation indeed. Just seeing here the early Balmy Cinder, but it was actually the interesting one for me in the top lane right here. Oh, is the Bramble Vest for the side of Fabian Death. You can see that he's picked up that to deny the healing as much from Aatrox. It does of course apply grievous wounds whenever you get auto attacked, and most of his healing comes from that passive auto attack. So it means that he has a much easier time in lane. We're seeing him able to at least stay even on CS so far, and testament to him, he's doing very well on this Ornn pick. He's not really been threatened, other than that one time we mentioned. That this is a really odd time to trade. Loses that trade quite largely.
Cocoon does connect there, and that's going to be Elise opting into this trade, having taken the repel up into the sky, but then immediately locked down by the solar flare.
Should be a free dragon.
Brave plays from the Spectres, trying to contest around the vision for this dragon. Kayn still is lurking around, but you've got to feel like the Vikings are the one who have got almost a 90% chance of taking this Drake.
Yeah, with the wave shoved in mid and bot, there should be no way Kayn can get in on this dragon without losing his life. That means that they're going to even leash it out, which gives Kayn even less of a chance of getting towards this.
He's wandered down to the bot lane. He knows that this one is gone. The Vikings will secure their second dragon. They are half of the way to the Dragon Soul objective. They are getting closer and closer to a potential Elder Dragon. Will the game go that far, though?
So the Mountain Soul here actually matters quite a lot, because we've seen the build from the Senna consistently is actually a lot of lethality. So getting the extra percentage armor and MR completely negates that lethality and is very effective against it. It means that Senna's pretty much going to be doing no damage throughout the game.
Interestingly, well, not interestingly, because it's not a surprise at all. We see the Zeal being picked up by the Yasuo. Where do you expect to see that one building in towards? Is it going to be the Phantom Dancer early on?
The change to Phantom Dancer means less likely, because he's not really in so much of a threat. The change from the way it used to be to just purely the shielding item. I do actually expect the more aggressive static Shiv option to snowball his advantage further, rather than the more defensive option.
God, the wave clear will be even more nightmarish.
Yeah, I think the thing is he can afford to go for a more of Malmortius in the late game, so he shouldn't go for the Phantom Dance.
Right now, Deborah doesn't even need those items flashing forward, trying to make sure that we were going to see the tornado connecting, but it was dodged away from expertly by Cobra. Now we see Elise looking for a gank in the bot lane. That is going to be Senna trying to dash away, trying to get to safety. That is going to be last breath put down. The Ignite is there as well. Is there enough healing coming in from Cobra? The answer is no, but Kayn in response is able to make it a 1-for-1. It's Vladimir who ends up getting the kill, but in the bot lane, Elise secures one onto the Senna. 2-for-1 overall for the Vikings.
He also denies the wave to the tower at the same time, although he does give that kill over to the Kayn. It's a really nice move here. Going aggressive is Lilligant in the top side.
Once again, we do see hot points being caught by Lilligant. He's able to get the pull back onto Fabian Death, and this time, using that ultimate, is able to get so very much damage onto the Ornn, but the return is coming in. The Corner Forge God, the Kayn is here. He's got damage for days. Wish comes through as Lilligant stays alive for now, flashing over the wall, landing yet another connection, trying to heal up as much as he can. Has he got what it takes to survive this one? No, he has not. Fabian Death getting his first kill of the game, and Kayn helping out, getting some nice stackies too.
Yeah, Kanye finally being relevant in this game. Had been locked out of it for so long that now you're finally able to get some tower shards. He's been able to kill 2 melee champions in a row, which is definitely going to help for his transformation that I think he should probably have on this back as well. So the York Vikings kind of having a little bit of a falter again in the mid game. Still 2k ahead, but shouldn't be giving up these free kills.
Sin, if I ever say stackies again, you have my permission to hit me.
stacky wackies.
I don't know where that one came out of, and I hope it never comes back. We are seeing the Phantom Dancer picked up by Deborah. Is not going to be the static shiv that you were alluding to earlier on. I, having thought about it, agreed with your idea, but turns out superior analyst, I gave him the right idea in the first place.
Well, I think you should be going for the static shiv purely for the reason that, like, the Phantom Dancer is fine, but the static shiv allows you to go more of Malmortius in the later game, which gives you that shield and gives you the bonus life steal while it's active as well. Of course, the other option, the even better option, Steric's Gauge, which has the same shielding passive as more of Malmortius
Got that
and
lifeline.
Phantom Dancer that he really needs. Like, Steric's Gauge is a consistently key item for Yasuo.
Meanwhile, Deborah is just dashing back and forward, showing real mastery on this Yasuo pick. It is going to be the Hemo Plague thrown down. Here comes Brendan Can with a bit of a counterplay. Again, a teleport is cancelled. This time, Lilligan trying to join the fray, but Fear Beyond Death is going to be able to cancel that one out. Meanwhile, that is going to be the Umbral Trespass used by Kayn, almost able to pick up the kill. Still, the burn is coming in from Cobra, but Yasuo stays alive. Elise, perhaps not so lucky, tries to go to the skies, but instead gets pulled down in her own web, and it is going to be another kill for Bread in a Can, who on this Kayn is actually looking very, very good.
He's suddenly become relevant out of nowhere almost, has helped his team pick up 3 kills. The Vladimir is suddenly back into the game, and this early game advantage that's been garnered by the York Vikings is almost nullified already. Still a 1.5k gold lead, but the pressure lead, knowing that you've got this scaling of the Senna, of the Ornn, of the Vladimir, just means that you're so much less threatened now.
My main question in Champ Select is there's this massive late game potential from the Sudden Spectres. Would they get to late game? They've managed to navigate their way up to nearly the 16-minute mark without giving up too much of a massive lead. Yes, there are those couple of dragons for the Vikings, but the Spectres fight back as the Solar Flare forces the flash out of Aphelios.
Crucially, no towers have fallen by this 16-minute mark. If the tower had fallen by now, it would give the York Vikings the ability to move around the map. The fact that that is still all 3 outer towers up for the Sutton Spectres when they're playing this much of a scaling comp is a testament to how well they've been maneuvering around the map to avoid this pressure.
Call Admiral Akbar, because it's a trap! It's gonna be a big old catch onto the Soraka, who has got it completely obliterated. Uses the wish to try and stay alive for as long as possible. Brendan Can is gonna get that one. Here comes a big old party as the mid laners join the fight. Yasuo coming in, trying to get a massive ultimate. He's gonna pick up a kill onto Brendan Can. That one goes over to Aphelios as Cobra is then running, but it's gonna be the last second catch from the Cocoon. There's the last breath. There's the damage coming in from the Moonlight Vigil. It's gonna be a 3-for-1 in favor of the York Vikings.
And how long Soraka stayed alive on that play after they used so much to try and catch her out was why they were able to turn this one around, was why they were able to get anything. And finally, they break the first outer tower in the mid lane as they do it. The pressure is going to allow them to get the 3rd dragon of the game and maybe look towards this Rift Herald shortly afterwards. York Vikings really needed that play, and even though they lost 1 right at the start, the 2 they picked up has given them so much more map control.
That is a really, really big turnaround for the Vikings, and like you say, the amount of time Soraka stayed alive for is everything I hate about this goddamn champion.
What's Soraka's great? What are you talking about? She's perfectly balanced.
Don't do that.
It's not like she's the best top laner in the game and one of the best supports in the game and the best mid laner in the game all simultaneously. Nothing to do with that.
I'm getting like Lux flashbacks from about a year ago.
To be fair, Lux at the time was not that great in the mid lane. It was just support.
It was the support that was insane, and will be again with all the changes coming through.
Yeah, you saw the thread from Orcs as well then.
I certainly did, and I agreed with every word he said.
I don't necessarily, because I think the metagame's changed too much since then.
I think it'll have its place. I think it'll be strong. Maybe
I don't think it'll be S tier.
I don't think it'll be the S tier it was before, but neither did he, to be fair. He said it would be just short of it, and
yeah.
I think he's probably on the money. I think we'll see it again. Meanwhile, Herald has been started up by Kayn, but he's already regretting that life decision as Deborah's chasing him down.
As you're alluding to, though, the pressure they're getting off of forcing Bread in a Can out is going to give them control over this river area. They're looking towards the Rift Herald. They've only got that minute and 40 seconds to kill it until, of course, it despawns. It's killed cruelly by Baron Nashor. As
I always thought it was just like sent home to bed. Like told it's not time to play anymore.
It's the death animation that plays.
Oh.
The death, yeah, and it's like Baron's home. Oh no.
Well, in that 1 minute remaining on the Rift, the Vikings are going to look to try and force this play. The Spectres are looking to respond. We've got ourselves a big fight brewing. The Zenith Blade is going to catch, but so much damage put down. Brendan Can managing to take down Rocketoso. Here comes the Aatrox. He's swinging his sword, trying to pick up more kills. Massive old last breath coming in from the Yasuo. It's going to be Aphelios who takes one, throwing out those Jackrams, picking up the double kill, and look at the damage coming in from this Aphelios, forcing the flash out of Ornn. He's going to deny the triple for now, but with the Calibrum, it's going to be good damage in still, just like that. that, another big old turnaround for the York Vikings. Will they have time to take down this Herald? Yes, I believe they will. It didn't reset on its damage, and there we go. York Vikings accentuating this gold lead ever further.
And they lose their jungler yet again, but they get the Rift Herald off the back of it. They get multiple kills off the back of it. And look how much survivability Yasuo had in that fight. Between the Soraka ult, between the Conqueror, the Grievous Wounds didn't even matter. It was just too much to bear.
Here we go again. It's going to be the Ornn caught completely out. And as the Herald crushes down the turret, the Aatrox crushes down the Ornn. Another kill picked up. The Vikings have just stepped on the accelerator. They are worried about the potential scale coming in from the Sutton Spectres, and they are trying to take this game beyond their reach.
And this is the thing right now. Whenever anybody gets even a little bit low in a fight, because of all the roaming York Vikings can do, you just got to call that ambulance, and Soraka's going to be running directly into that fight to heal you back up. It's just so easy for them to survive. Like right now, it doesn't matter how long they chase her, because Soraka's passive, she'll be there in time.
Rakatosa, they're forced to flash away as the Zenith Blade caught him out as he was clearing out the ward. Elise has been in a little bit of trouble in a couple of these last fights, but the damage coming out from the rest of the team has been obscene.
Even like the pick potential completely disappears if they get the fourth dragon.
Last breath goes down to Cobra, but the Zenith Blade is there to stun up Deborah, who now is trying to dash himself to safety. That's going to be a big old shield, and the heal from Soraka means there was never any danger at all. Deborah can just start doing what they were doing already.
It's like, you thought I was in danger? You thought I was going low? You foolish fool. It's just so easy at this point of the game. We talked about ease of execution last game. How easy is it to just go as aggressive as you want?
The York Vikings, I thought they were looking into a potential 20-minute Baron start, but instead they're just baiting things out, trying to see what the reaction from Spectres will be. It's going to be the Cocoon landing onto the cane, and just like that, the jungler's dead for the Spectres. The Vikings can turn to the big purple worm, and they said, we've killed off your two little sprogs, now we want you as well.
And not only that, it was the silence from Soraka that was so deadly. Every single time anybody's even slightly caught out, silence underneath them, they can't flash, they can't do anything. Easy kill, they're going to get Baron off the back of this. Yasuo does so much damage to it, even that wind wall denying most of Baron's damage, and the Soraka to heal them just makes it so insanely easy.
Crucial moment coming up now, because as we see Aatrox try and take this Scuttle Crab, the Mountain Dragon is going to be spawning. This is going to be the fourth dragon coming onto the Rift. The Spectres desperately must want this one, because otherwise there is going to be a Malphite passive on every single one of the York Vikings players.
Yeah, that's the shield is so crucial, but what I was alluding to before, if they get this fourth dragon, the pick potential for the Sutton Spectres ever catching somebody out and being able to kill them is gone. Between the Soraka ultimate, the Mountain Dragon's buffs, the shields, stopwatches that you're now seeing come through from the members as well, heals, everything is far too much to bear, and I doubt they'll kill more than 2 more members in the entire game if this comes through.
Looks like a 6,000 gold lead now for the Vikings. They've really accelerated in the last 5 minutes. They're just about to pick up the Dragon Soul unless Kane has something to say about it.
And this should be pretty free unless, as you say, Kane is able to get a sneaky steal over the wall. Nice silence!
Just like that, there is the one called the Forge God, cancelled by the wind wall. Now the fullback is going to land onto the Ornn, drawn back into the middle of 5 very angry Vikings, and they completely and utterly destroy the Forge God. He's unable to do a single thing to stop them.
Really nice, though, I have to say, was the silence from Soraka, stopping him from being able to E over the wall, Q over the wall, flash, anything he wants. Lock him out of the pit entirely. Easy Mountain Dragon take. Now they have full control to be able to push this Baron-empowered wave into this inhibitor tower. I
asked the question if we would see an Elder Dragon, and that question still remains. If we were to see it, no one saw the fat-fingered stopwatch, don't worry about it, Deborah. If we were to see it, it would be at the 27-minute mark, which is so very early. But at this point, with the Vikings just taking the game to the Spectres, with this Baron-empowered push going towards the inhibitor, you've got to wonder if the game will even go that far.
You do have to wonder, as you say, but the York Vikings right now have Aatrox pushing the bot lane. They have Baron-empowered waves mid that are so hard to clear that they can just play this slowly. We know that the scaling of Sutton's been desperate, but they are desperate to go aggressive.
Flashes forward, Solar Flares, Hemoplague, all thrown down to try and get something for the Spectres. Once again, the damage comes in, but once again, the Wish cancels so much of it out. Rakatosa takes down the Vladimir. Deborah goes low, but then almost goes back to 50% health again, eventually dying to the Ornn, but not before Aphelios rips through the heart of the Sutton Spectres. The double kill comes in for the Aatrox, who teleported in to join the fight, and just like that, the Vikings could well end the game.
They used every single thing on the Yasuo, who stayed alive to the point where he did a ton of damage in that fight. They're able to clean it up. That should be the game now, as these Sutton Spectres are unfortunately falling 2-0 in their first game of Arena Clash.
They put up a brave fight. They held on a long time up against this early powerhouse composition from the York Vikings, but at the end of the day, the Vikings are the ones who march forward to 1-0 in Group 1 here in the spring split, and they are going to take it in style unless a magical defense comes out of the Spectres, and guess what? I think it might.
Regardless here, unless we see a miracle Elder Steel.
Martin, can you do me a favour? Everything I just said there, can you just like take that, loop it, and pop it on the end of the game for me, please?
Do you remember exactly what you said? Because you can just repeat it now.
I don't remember. I don't remember what I said now, what I'm saying now. I mean, never mind that. Come on. You think I think before I talk?
Old.
You think?
Oh god, I'm casting with a boomer.
It's getting to the point where even my parents look at me sometimes and say, "Okay, boomer."
Oh no, that's the worst situation where you're looking at a meme your parents have showed you. You don't understand it. That's got to be the moment you know all is lost.
No, the moment I knew all was lost was when I tried to fix my parents' emails, which apparently weren't being received, and my parents had managed to accidentally set a rule which meant that nobody who was in their contacts, anything that was sent from someone in their contacts instantly got deleted, and anything that was sent from someone who wasn't in their contacts instantly got deleted. All was literally lost.
Immediately all was lost. Wow.
They're good with computers. As am I, as you can tell by my rank in solo queue.
What is your rank in solo queue?
I'm slowly climbing. I had a real rough start to the season from placements. I've got back up to Silver 1. We'll get plat by the end of the season.
You're better than Opal, the famed Silver 2 play-by-play.
I mean, you know, as long as he talks, well, it's all good, right?
That literally became the meme that he was known. His nickname was Silver 2 play-by-play for the longest time.
Oh, don't do him like that, which is the same thing that Cobra's saying at the minute as every shot of Calibrum rains down upon him and he just loses so much of his health. Right now things are looking desperate for the Spectres as they try to mount the defense. They are 26 minutes into the game. They're getting closer and closer to the late game, but their scaling is not even close to the damage that the Vikings are putting out as they lay siege to this bot lane inhibitor turret. Siege is over, it's gone.
Yeah, that's it gone. As Yasuo's putting down the pressure now. He's got that wind available, so they're just going to pressure into the Nexus Tower, the final, last bastion of hope for the Sutton Spectres. They have to make something happen here and now.
This is their last chance in this series. You'd have to think the Sutton Spectres looking for that potential play. Remember, they burnt so much for the last fight. However, a lot of the flashes are back up as we do hear the... I thought I heard the call of the Forge God being channeled, but no, it wasn't. Instead, it was the last breath going in. Deborah, he's underneath the turret. The Wish heals him up significantly, but he is eventually going to die. 1 for 1 so far, but at least taking down the center makes it 2 for 1 in favour of the Vikings. We do see Devious trying to get away, and Charles Bandino managing to pick up a kill, and that is going to be all she wrote, because the final rain down of the Sword of Aatrox is enough to make sure that this game goes to the Vikings. They style things out. Spectres, a brave fight, but eventually their debut is an unsuccessful one. Vikings take the 2-0.
Yeah, full objective control, only losing 1 tower, 7 kills to 21. That was a much cleaner game than the first. They still made a couple of mistakes, but they played their composition to perfection. They knew exactly what their win condition was, they knew where they needed to play and how they did that effectively, and they lock in a 2-0 in their first game.
Yeah, heartbreaking moments there on just before Valentine's Day for the Sutton team. Dude, it's upside down.
Oh no!
Come on, come on! Don't do me like this!
This is the flag flying upside down when all this is...
Oh no, not what the Spectres would have hoped for on their first outing, but a brave fight nonetheless. Great to get the opportunity to stream their first game, and welcome to Belong Arena Clash in the League of Legends scene to them. Congratulations to the York Vikings. Now, what can they do? Can they continue to progress? Can they start troubling those 3 top teams in Group 1?
We'll have to see, but that second game looked a lot better. If they can keep improving at the same trajectory, maybe we can see them at least contest the Portsmouth Pirates and
the Spartans
and
the Lionhearts.
Then the Lionhearts is the tough one, though. Lionhearts play a very similar style to we saw in that second game.
Yep.
So I'm not sure if they can match up with that effectively.
In case you didn't see it, go back and watch the finals from our winter split.
The final game, they didn't even play their own roles.
I wasn't going to spoil it. I was going to say something special happened in the third game. They literally all played off-roll.
Oh, is it just like one of those clickbait videos, like watch till the end? Something special happens.
I mean, that's what I was trying to do, and you just went, "Oh, hey guys, here's the funny thing."
Yeah, I don't clickbait.
You're that guy.
I'm not that guy.
I totally am. Here's some clickbait for you. We've got one more great series coming tonight. It's a best of 3 between the Portsmouth Pirates
You won't believe
and the
what
Stratford
champions
Spartans.
get picked.
Oh, will it be a Javan Sport? Hopefully not. Will it be a Soraka Sport? Even more, hopefully not. Find out soon. We'll be back.
Life's been dragging me to the ground, but I will try to get there, and I will try to be there. So please don't keep me waiting, so I stop hesitating. Life keeps on dragging us down, we hang on so we don't drown. I feel like I'm falling apart without you. Life keeps on dragging us down, we hang on so we don't drown. I feel like I'm falling apart without you. I feel like I'm falling down. Life's been dragging me to the ground, but I will try to get there, and I will try to be there. So please don't keep me waiting, so I stop hesitating. Life keeps on dragging us down, we hang on so we don't drown. I feel like I'm falling apart without you.
Greyheart and Sin are back with this Valentine's Eve special League of Legends Belong Arena clash. We have got ourselves an absolutely upside down world. Seriously, dude, why are you doing this to me? Game coming up. We've got the Portsmouth Pirates, our 5-time champions, coming in with a new roster, going up against the Stratford Spartans, a team who have fallen short of the final on previous occasions, but they're a pretty tough competition.
So we got big expectations for the Portsmouth Pirates, but they were with an asterisk, and a rather big one. We've seen this team in the past make very large errors on things just fall apart, whether it be, they have to play a 4v5 this week because the jungler disconnected, or somebody's got a different schedule and can't play, and their subs have caused them to lose a game that locked them out of playoffs. They really have had some poor luck, some poor performances when they've needed to perform well, and if everything comes together, we know they are the 5-time champions. They can do well, but these last few seasons, we've just not seen it.
Well, we're seeing a couple of the players who are no strangers to that success of winning the Belong Arena clash are coming back, and some new faces as well. For the Portsmouth Pirates, we have got Harry Divinus, Redona, Doctor, and Zombie.
And on the other side, we've got Purity, Romek, Combo Cow, Overcast, Chi, and Super Jesus.
Yes, Super Jesus is back. I just love to say this on casting.
Romek's the only returning member.
Super Jesus was playing as well, but I'm not sure if...
I believe he's the sub this season.
Oh, he's sub this time. Oh, well, hopefully we're going to get to see him on the Rift at some point, because, frankly, there are very few names that I like shouting more than Super Jesus in casts. However, a name I've never got to shout in a cast, but I've sometimes shouted at my casting parter, is Doctor, the new jungler coming in for the Portsmouth Pirates.
Former UKLT Observer.
Former Belong Arena Clash color caster. So
yeah, he casted with me last season as well.
Yeah, so he's coming in to not cast, but to play here in Clash this season.
We've got big expectations for him, because
Massive.
every time I've casted him, he has gone upwards of 0 and 7. I remember, I actually casted his qualifier for ESL UK back when it was that, all the years ago in the UK Prem. So many years ago. So that was a game that I got to cast him playing, and that was the last time I believe I've casted him playing. He went, I think, 0, 8, and 3. On Kane in that game.
I'm sure he's going to be hoping to put out a better performance, and I'm sure that the Pirates will be hoping that he will have a better performance as well, because otherwise it will feel like, much like being a sandwich short of a picnic, they'll be a jungler short of getting themselves into playoffs.
Well, we're looking forward to watching him in regardless. It will be enjoyable, as it always is with It's a spade. How many times?
So, anyway. Pick ban?
I guess. I guess it's time to get back into pick ban.
Oh, dear me. We're going to bring you all the action from Champ Select from... from the very first moment into second. I do believe that this pick ban was done in Pro Draft, so we won't actually, when I say the very first second, we won't get to see the order in which things should be banned, which they should be drafted. They're just going to be locked straight on in, if I've been told correctly.
So that in a second. I'll be interested to see how the draft does go along. Doctor, former Ivern One Trick, see how his jungle pool is adapted to the way the game's changed. I believe he's playing a lot of Rek'Sai, having talked to Ender about that. And of the renowned supporter of Hail of Blades, Rek'Sai, much like myself. The optimal way to play Rek'Sai.
Oh wow, we are well and truly.
Oh no, that's a Nidalee.
Set is out. It's time to bring the puns, ladies and gentlemen. It's being locked in alongside Nidalee and Aurelia in the mid lane. On the opposite side, we're seeing the Mordekaiser top side with Syndra in the mid lane. It is going to be J4 in the jungle for that man Rito Games, who we know as Doctor.
So this is an interesting matchup in the top lane. One of the things I actually find really funny with Set's W is technically it can be delivered during the cast time. So if I channel it and get knocked back, say, by a Lee Sin kick towards the enemy team, I can get delivered directly on top of an AD carry. So I've seen multiple times Mordekaiser pull a Set in as that cone is then forced on top of every member of the Mordekaiser's team, and he lands as much free damage as possible.
Well, that's one that I'm pretty sure that Shader's going to hope does not happen. Can't help but notice that clan tag that Shader's got as well for the set. Oh, I
Oh,
wonder what
Varus and
they've been
Braum,
playing
good,
a lot
good.
of recently.
Locking the Braum here. They need a tanky support because they've got a very squishy jungler. They've got sort of bruiser top and mid. By having this this supportive tank that can set up these picks so much more effectively, they've got something as a baseline to have the Nidalee build upon. So the Nidalee is gonna have a rough time, I have to say, but she's got a mobile mid lane that she's up against. If Divinus gets caught out a couple times by a Nidalee spear, that can really blow Aurelia's lane wide open to the point where she gets to roam, she gets to pressure, and this team composition from Portsmouth Pirates, they're all stacking on top of each other. Aurelia could do big damage against their, so could Set. I'm interested to see how this game does go forward.
We talked a little bit about returning players for the Portsmouth Pirates, people who in themselves have got the proverbial championship rings on their fingers, and that's going to be Mordekaiser and Syndra, that's going to be Rhydona and Divinus coming in for the Portsmouth Pirates, hoping to replicate some of the success they had with people like Ollie and Shaven Tortoise.
If they can replicate that success, we know where it can go, but the difference is, as we said, they have Doctor, and Doctor's renowned for losing games, not winning them.
I mean, you're saying this, but this is still a diamond level jungler we're talking about. This is still a guy who can go out and perform, even if he hasn't in the past.
I actually really want to see him make playoffs and do well, but at the same time, it's just not what he's known for. It goes off-brand.
Okay, so that's also I'm just hearing that Flubber, another player who we've seen many times before Portsmouth Pirates, has renamed Harry the Machine. So we've actually got 3 returning members here for the Pirates with this new lineup.
Yeah, this is a really interesting roster changes that they've brought back these key members from the past. We heard so many stories about why that roster worked, what didn't work about it when it started to fail. We'll have to see if this can be one that does come together. We talked a lot about that. We haven't talked much about the Stratford Spartans roster. That has changed quite a lot. They've still got high platinum to low diamond roster. See on the side of Portsmouth, it's generally more high diamond. So the expectation and the expected result is that Portsmouth does win. Looking fairly clean because they have that like master tier AD carry and Flubber. They've got all these high diamond players that they should just outshine. But it is how you come together as a 5-man unit. We saw that last season where so many teams got upset by teams far below them in Elo because they understood how to play that 5v5 far better.
Okay, well, what's the that's potential expectations coming in. Looking, however, at it from a purely draft point of view, really like some of the things we're seeing coming out of Portsmouth. There's a lot of engaged potential there between the Jarvan and the Leona. A lot of decent damage going to come through as well, as we already see an interesting couple of stacks here. It might be the Pirates looking for potential catch.
Yeah, just sitting in this brush with the Jarvan and the Leona. Not really going to catch anybody with an E, though, from the Jarvan.
Just sorting out a few frame rate issues, in case you're wondering why it was a little bit busy. It's not the stream, it's what we're experiencing as well here in the studio. I'm sure it'll all be sorted soon. Already looking
like that.
much better.
Early ward, then you swap for the sweeper, so you can then go and ward up your the opposite side of the map and get some control that way. Interesting choice from the Jarvan. I do like when junglers generally go for that. Unfortunately, due to a couple issues, we are just gonna wait for them to be solved before we jump into this.
Yeah, I want to bring you that game in the highest possible quality we can. Our wonderful production team and Dom are also working on that.
And Dom.
So we're just having a little pause. Going back to that sweeper, it's something I've been doing a lot. Do you like to see it on all junglers, or is it very specific ones?
Okay, there's one champion that I think should always run sweeper first, and this is actually moving away from your question, but
okay,
one champion that should run sweeper as their start every single game, Urgot. Because his W will kill a ward instantly, to the point where so you can actually do it this way, where your W will actually kill a ward as it's placed. So if you sit in a choke point where a ward is going to be placed, you wait for them to place it instantly, press W, you clear the ward instantly, and then they try and put a ward down again, they have to wait for your W cooldown to run out, otherwise it just kills the ward instantly before it goes invisible.
And then you got a sweeper anyway.
And you got a sweeper anyway, so the whole idea is...
Get that 6 extra XP.
You can... Exactly, but the 6 extra XP is not negligible. It gives you level 2 1 level earlier. When you're playing an Urgot, getting level 2 that much earlier when you are already a lane bully, crucial to dominate lane.
Taking it back to the junglers, though, I mean, obviously Lee Sin is, for obvious reasons, going to stick around with a regular warding trinket.
Yes.
What are your feelings on, I don't know, let's say, some of our other key impact junglers at the moment?
I mean, Olaf definitely.
Your Elise, your Olafs.
Elise and Olaf should definitely 100% take that sweeper. because it just gives you so much more control of the early game when you are playing an early aggressive jungler to deny the vision and know that you're not spotted on a gank very easily. It gives your mid laners so much more control as well. It just adds everything together really easily.
Okay, so that's going to be something that we've already seen picked up by Jarvan. We're just dealing with a few little issues with the video. I mean, it makes sense, of course, doesn't it, that Harry would get himself on stream and instantly just break the internet.
It's his fault. He switched to sweeper. It broke the frame rate.
He's essentially the Kim Kardashian of the...
He broke the internet.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
Is that the reference you're going for?
Yeah.
Oh right.
That's a modern reference, right?
It's a modern
I'm in the cool
reference.
Kids. I sat at the back of the bus today.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
definitely one of the cool kids.
This guy's a bad guy. Wow.
How many bad guys do you know that wear a shirt like this? Actually, let me rephrase that. How many people do you know that wear a shirt like this?
That's zero. The answer to that is zero.
You literally know me.
I meant
Are you just like are you discrediting the fact that I'm a person now? Not only are you rejecting my love.
Stan.
Look at this.
You
Look
don't
at this.
exist, Stan. You're a figment of my imagination, Stan.
God,
I've told you this.
This is going to be a great stream. This is basically just my part of the conversation is gone, and it's just you. Oh man, that's a mind blower.
You're a figment of my imagination, Stan. Stop telling me what to do, okay? Okay. All right. So. The way it should be. I had to solo cast without you last season. It was the best cast I had. It was great. I
heard that cast and it was really, really good.
Yeah, I know it was. You're damn right. You're goddamn right. The whole thing with this unfortunate pause is that we get to talk about the state of the game in a minute, and a lot of the game has come down to, like we said, the scaling of blue side versus the early aggression of red side. And getting the counter pick on red side is generally utilized to try and shut down the Ornn in that regard, to try and get some control. But the issue being with that, with the Ornn's just free scaling is by the time you get into those later game stages, by the time the Ornn is actually relevant, you've got 3 dragons already given up.
And this was the issue that we had in the last game for the Spectres.
And it's an existential threat, meaning you have to fight even if you're not in a good situation to fight. So you need enough team fights set up other than the Ornn. We saw in the last series, it was just that Yasuo was enough to go, nope, you can't fight here, you're not allowed to fight. And then the Ornn was completely dissuaded. They didn't have enough team fights set up. Other than that, they didn't have any other engage, so it just led to it falling apart.
Meanwhile, in this game, do you feel like there's enough going on in the early game for the Spartans lineup?
I don't know if there is. I think
you've got the Nidalee that can make a lot of impact.
Yeah, the Nidalee definitely has a lot of early game impact, but I'm looking a lot more at the mid game for them. The Ornn, of course, not in their top lane. It is the Set and the Aurelia, the two things we're looking at. And both of them are, well, depends on the build, but both of them are Triforce users. Both of them do generally spike very hard around that item point. Both of them want to go for the Tiamat. It means you can go 1-3-1, have a lot of survivability, but also transition very well into team fights. So if you do start to snowball early, you've got a very strong point come that sort of 25-minute mark. But without it, if you do just go even, your team fighting is still incredible. So you've got a really flexible composition in that regard.
Okay, well, with all that being said, with everything we've factored in about the returning players, the elos of the two teams, who are you going for in game 1 of this series?
I do like the draft more of the red side, but I think the blue side is so much more explosive. So it's very dependent on this early game phase. If the Nidalee does get an early game head start and is able to shut down the Jarvan during these early phases, then it's a very easy win for the blue side. If Nidalee isn't able to do much, should be Portsmouth picking it up fairly cleanly, slowing the pace of the game down, and denying access to fights for the Set and the Aurelia.
Okay, so you heard it here first. As and when we get into this game, we will find out whether or not you're right, or whether you've made a classic Maurits Chronically Musin prediction and flushed it down the toilet. Just like my love.
Stan, you have to get over it. Come on. We're professionals.
Well, one of us is.
One of us is a professional. Half of us is a professional. Half of one of us is a okay. I'm gonna.
Between us, we're a quarter professional.
Between us, we're a quarter professional. There we go. That sounds about right.
So here's a thought, and this is something that's it's a little bit out there, but there's a lot of talk shows and there's a lot of talk chat on Twitter and stuff that there are too many at the moment. So I thought I would try and do one. because that'll definitely help.
Oh,
fix
that would
the
definitely
situation.
help. Yeah.
So back in the days of Compete League, which we used to be involved with, I had a little show called Grey Heart to Heart, and I was thinking of bringing it back. Would you like to be the first guest on Grey Heart to Heart?
I think it would go horribly.
That's
sure.
yeah, but I know. I mean, I'm all about Trainwreck TV, or in this case, podcast or whatever medium. What do you reckon?
Try and actually get somebody worth talking to for the first episode.
Yeah, you. So, I mean, you come
That's
on.
flattering.
Top
That's flattering.
analyst in the US.
Oh, yeah,
as far
thank
as
you.
I'm concerned.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. But
That wasn't even a job. That's legitimately.
you think you're doing like an interview series sort of thing then?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically,
sounds like a good idea.
so I used to.
That's a bit more unique than what
And
other people
also,
do.
like, this is a legitimate comment. If you're out there watching this, and especially if you're involved with Belong Arena Clash, and you're interested in doing this, drop me a message on Twitter or in game or whatever. I'm easy enough to find. Greyheart. It's not that unusual, that common a name that I know of. Though there is one annoying bloke who has one Twitter follower and has the name @Greyheart. And anyway, moving on. So basically, if you're interested in being on it, especially if you're involved in Arena Clash, maybe representing one of the teams, come on. We do a little section about how you got into League and sort of your favourite champions. And then my personal favourite section was what I used to call the Flame On section, where basically you can just...
Hasn't that been taken by somebody? Who's using that at the minute?
I don't even care, because I was using it like 5 years ago.
It's an advert in LCS, I believe.
Yeah.
Rivington does it.
You can have it, that's fine. We can share. I was using it for years. I feel like I'm not going to get copyrighted on this one, especially as they stole it from the
I
Fantastic
think it might be
Four.
like Doritos Flame On or something like that.
But I might have to change the name. But
Yeah.
basically, you can keep it PG, but you can let rip as much as you want on anyone you want. Who would
Yeah.
be your top 3 people right now in any part of the League of Legends scene that you would go for and flame on? Don't spoil too much for when we actually do the interview.
Today, Forgiven.
Ooh, big hot topic.
I'd have a lot to say about what he's doing wrong. I think that what he's showing is a drive to be on a good team and a drive to be performing. But the way he's outwardly expressing that by taking a step back from the team until they're willing to make a change is something that's very questionable indeed, and I really don't like.
Yeah. I completely agree with you on that, and I think that it's an unfortunate situation. Things obviously haven't been going well for Nulfear.
Yeah.
Pretty much all
0-6.
split.
I mean, it seems like the best pickup they got in the off season was Darius, the social media guy they're running.
Yeah. So I mean, but I think you're right. The way he's handled it. I mean, I said to you earlier. Someone said it on Reddit. It's not my own original material, but they compared him to Teddy, who also went through a bit of a barren phase on a team that wasn't doing well in Jin
But
Air.
the difference was Teddy was a rookie. And
Yes,
he was desperate for a chance to shine, and he needed to prove that he could be a good player.
But I think as a comeback kid, which essentially is what Forgiven is, you've got to have that same.
But
need
he
to shine.
thinks he's still got that pedigree he used to have.
That's the problem.
And he doesn't. He just doesn't.
That's
anymore.
been apparent based on the way the games have been turning out.
I
So
mentioned it to you earlier. 7th best ADC in EU right now. That's not enough to treat yourself this way, where you're high and mighty about it. When Inax could come in and be the 4th best mid in EU, because Inax. He's been on my list for a while of players I thought would make LEC. I was very much expecting this to happen. I remember I was looking at him.
Been performing brilliantly in the academy team.
Exactly. I remember looking when he was playing sort of like against Deadly back in the day, years and years ago in the UK scene, and how that was. And I just thought he was so good then that he had a shot of going forward, and as he improved more and more, as he finally dropped Orcs as a support and got a real support, that he finally found some
Don't
success.
do Dan like that.
I love Dan. Dan can take it.
So no, I'm completely with you on that, and that's interesting. That's one of your 3 for the Flame On, and I'm going to hold you off on the other 2 because I think we've got to save something for if we're able to do an interview down the line, which frankly I think would be great. But right now we are going to jump to a little bit of a break because we're still trying to fix a few issues. So hopefully we're going to be back with the first game of this best of 3 series very shortly.
I'm on a railroad, I'm on a road, feeling so habitual. alright, it's okay. When all the rivers flow into the ocean, every little wind turns into storms. What if everybody's used to their own features? What if we got nothing more than this? Please remember what I said about magic. Remember what I told you about us. Please remember what I said about magic. Remember what I told you about us. About us. About us. When all the words are heard, every little sentence turns to gold. What if everybody's just alright? What if we got nothing more than this? Please remember what I said about magic. Remember what I told you
I think everyone wonders what they would do if they saw a ghost. I think everyone wonders what they would do if they saw a ghost.
I'm not afraid of your ghosts, Bridget.
I think everyone wonders what they would do if they saw a ghost.
I'm not afraid of your ghosts, Bridget.
I think everyone wonders what they would do if they saw a ghost. I think everyone wonders what they would do if they saw a ghost.
We are back again, and I'm happy to be able to bring you good news. We have sorted out technical difficulties, and hopefully we'll be able to bring you Game 1 of this best-of-3 series between the Spartans and the Pirates in its entirety. Once again, I am Stanley Greyheart Barker. It's good to have you back, Sin.
It's good to be back again. Hopefully getting into games shortly. I do want to see how this one plays out. Like we talked about the Nidalee, very interesting pick. Not one we've been seeing for a while. It's generally like Nidalee since all the nerfs came to her so long ago. If you do get a lead, you go Ardent Censor, you go Athene's Unholy Grail. You don't go for the full AP builds of old, where you just tried to one-shot people. So she's become so much more supportive pick beyond the early game that she really needs to be good in the early game. And unfortunately right now, I'm not sure she can be, so I'll have to see how this plays out. She's up against an immobile mid laner, like we said, so I'm interested to see how the Syndra does try and play around her, if she is able to play around her, and if you can garner enough of a lead to have warranted this pick.
We'll keep our eyes on the build for that, Nidalee. What do you make of the old quote? I'm trying to remember exactly who it came out of. I think it was Rush who said, "If you're not dodging Nidalee spears, you must be playing without a mouse."
No, that's literally a Forgiven quote.
Oh, it was Forgiven,
It's
was
a
it?
Forgiven quote.
I thought it was. Oh, damn.
If you have a mouse, you can dodge a Nidalee spear.
Okay.
That's the
I thought
quote.
it was Rush for some reason. I'm not sure why. But so, what do you think about that?
I mean, it's fair and unfair. If you're completely on it and you've completely you know the Nidalee Spear is going to come, you can dodge it every time. If it just comes out of Fog of War, yeah, you can get nailed by one.
I'm going to make a big old prediction here. I reckon we're about to see Rito Games putting down a ward, going back and picking up a sweeper.
Oh wow, that would be an amazing prediction if you do get that one right, Nostradamus.
Well, let's see whether or not that's what happens. Spoiler, it does. We've seen this bit before, but we didn't manage to get any further. We didn't get into the action of this game this time round. I'm hoping that we will be able to see just a little more. Interestingly here, we're not seeing Jarvan actually putting down a ward before changing sweeper.
That would be interesting. But he did put down the ward.
Did he?
Yeah. You can use a trinket during your recall.
Oh, he did it the last second as I turned away.
Of
course he did.
It's interesting because you can't place a ward during your recall, but you can use a trinket during your recall. So technically you can place the trinket ward.
Okay, well, I turned away at exactly the wrong moment and missed a wonderful play coming out of the jungler for Portsmouth Pirates.
Top tier mechanics.
Here we go. He is going to be starting off on his red buff with a little bit of company from Rhydona. It's going to be the old hand Rhydona looking to get himself to yet another final with the Portsmouth Pirates. Holding hands with Harry Dr. Evans playing on this Rito Games account. Fun fact, was once playing a game with Doctor on his Rito Games account and was playing with a Rioter in the lobby who, once he'd left voice, said, I'm going to have to report the name and get it changed to a bunch of numbers because you're not allowed to have Rito in your name.
Oh,
and
no.
I had to convince him not to do that.
Yeah, that would be pretty rough, but interesting story there. So we're just going to see him, look at that. He's so easy to clean the wave there as set. He doesn't even sit on the wave for a majority of the time, still is able to get there in time and clean that one up.
It's yet again, it's a nice slow steady start between these two teams, a bit less of a fiesta start as we had in our early game between the Vikings and the Spectres. Both these teams respecting each other's ability in the lane and just taking very, very small trades from the poke.
But I want to see what this mid lane matchup can turn into, because the Ignite has been taken from the Aurelia. If she's able to get a solo kill in this lane, that can be the real break point for this, because bot lane is being pretty wrecked so far in CS. Top lane is going to struggle as well, because Rhydona is very strong in the early phases into this set.
Overcast definitely missing out on a little bit more of his CS than maybe expected. The stun is going to connect on to Divin as that is going to be Jerome going on forward. Scatter the Weak is going to stop him in his tracks, but a nice trade coming in from the Spartans mid laner.
Yeah, nice aggression there, doesn't have any minions, so that we're taking aggro on him as well, so was able to get in there and secure that one. Interestingly enough, you don't take aggro from minions if you're not using a targeted ability, so he's able to use the E to start off a combo, and then Q, which is a targeted ability, out of range of the minions, then taking aggro. So he can avoid the minions altogether in that trade, win it out consistently. He's already up a little bit in CS.
Good start there for the Spartans mid lane, and not so much for the ADC though, having a bit of a rough time as Zyra and Leona pushing forward. Of course, we know just what the Leona can do. We've seen it once already today. Zyra is something that you were talking to me about, how prominent it is and how high a level of priority it has in the current meta. Why exactly is that?
Safety. She's got decent wave clear with her W and the feathers. She's got supreme safety with her Featherstorm. She utilizes those both effectively as he's just going to die.
That is going to be Rito Games trying to stay alive, flashing away,
Oh
but the
God.
damage is there from the red buff, and that is going to be
Come on,
first blood
Harry.
coming in for Purity on this Nidalee. Flash away from Rhydona, trying to stay alive, but Flash follow from Purity in response. That's going to be the boss getting an assist as Purity gets a double, and that's a really strong start for this Nidalee.
I like the W flash there from Set to secure that kill, but really just far too cocky from Doctor. Just stays way too long in the combo and gets chained down by the red buff to the point where he tries to EQ back in, doesn't use his E, and then has to walk away, flashing and dying to the red smite of the Nidalee. So, very unfortunate start, already given a 600 gold lead and 2 kills to this Nidalee, crucially, who we said needed to get ahead in the early game.
Rito Games there contesting that scuttle grab, but biting off a little bit more than the Jarvan could chew. Nidalee, you wanted to know what it would do if it got fed. Well, we might get the opportunity to find out.
I hope we do get to see some of the more interesting builds from the Nidalee, especially when you've got like an Aurelia that you can buff up and give that extra attack speed from your E to. Going with the likes of an Athene's doesn't sound like an awful idea.
Meanwhile, just a bit of vision being cleared out by the Aurelia there on the bottom half of the map. The first dragon in this game will be the Ocean Dragon. Obviously, neither of the junglers paying any particular attention to that just yet.
Yeah, the Ocean Dragon, the worst of all the dragons, and the Ocean Soul, the best of all the souls, besides Infernal.
The second best of all the
The
souls.
second best of all the souls. Like, Infernal Soul, it depends on your comp, but generally as a baseline, Ocean's the best, and then Infernal's second best, because Infernal relies on so much more of a compositional style.
Flash forward, and the stun is going to connect,
Oh,
but
no,
here
Nidalee
comes
here.
the counter gank. It's going to be Purity joining the fight. Rito Games arrives too late to put down any damage as the feathers are recalled by Harry the Machine. Able to pull that one back. The man formerly known as Flubber helping keep his team alive, but obviously that flash was burnt by the Leona.
Yeah, nice counter gank there, just to stop the Leona from being able to go any further in that aggression. And the Nidalee still so strong right now that Doctor has to walk around back through the turret to get away. Doesn't want to try and buy into one of those trades.
And all of that means that Nidalee has walked straight over to the Dragon. I do believe we're going to see Purity starting off that Ocean Dragon. Of course, has got the leap on the W to try and jump over the wall if anything does go horribly wrong. But I don't think it will this time, and the Spartans will be able to secure a nice early objective.
Yeah, this Nidalee going really low though. She does need the support to roam over. She's gonna die. No.
Oh, Purity!
Okay,
Ooh,
has the
uses
smite.
the smite,
Right.
keeps themselves alive, but still very, very low at the last second. Purity not getting shut down by Mr. Dragon instead, and Ocean Dragon goes over to the Stratford Spartans.
It's Stratford able to get the first dragon of the game, even if Nidalee goes to a really risky amount of health to do so. Is able to back and get a completed Runic Echoes already. That is, I believe, completed Runic Echoes, because why else would you go for that? Why else would you go for the Fairy Charm there, rather than the Fairy Charm and refillable, rather than going for boots?
Yeah, I'm 99% sure that you're absolutely right there, Sin. Meanwhile, Scatter of the Week not quite connecting onto this Aurelia, who's just dashing back and forward. 4 CS down at the moment, but going to be able to reclaim most of that with the CS that is currently pushing in towards the turret.
And so now, Harry just trying to push enough of an advantage in this bot lane to make up for the fact that this mid lane is going to have constant kill pressure on it. The Nidalee is getting really far ahead. And top lane, this really isn't much of an advantage right now for Rhydona. It's just letting Set push in over and over again. Oh, sorry, pushing into Set over and over again, letting Set just clear the wave at a decent point in front of his turret and survive.
Meanwhile, Shido is just, as you say, just consistently able to take all of this CS, not falling behind to the Mordekaiser basically at all. Just using that face breaker there to get as much of the damage onto the minions as possible.
Nice little combo. This is one of the things with Set, though, that I absolutely love about him. The 1-2 combo of the attacks means that you can get 2 minions low and kill them very quickly, because it's as if your attack speed was way higher than it actually is.
Here comes Purity looking for a gank. We've already seen one stack of the Braum going on to Zuni. He's in a lot of trouble as we are going to see the Featherstorm used. It's too late to save the Braum, but Purity picks up that kill. Harry doing everything they can, including flashing away, getting to safety before that final stack of Braum is able to get the stun. Purity doing absolute work, 3-0 across the map.
They're doing really well so far in this early game. The Nidalee just getting so far ahead, though. It's how does she transition this lead? Because she's got all the kills on herself. You really want to see those kills on, like we said, the Aurelia on the Set, who is going for that trifle.
It's definitely looking good for the Stratford Spartans so far. Finding themselves 1,500 gold in the lead before 10 minutes as we see Shieda just going forward once more, using that haymaker, getting the true damage down. Harry, who does not have the stun available, has got the ignite burning, and with that final rain of arrows, it is going to be Overcast who picks up the kill. Meanwhile, Rhydona gets the straight out 1v1 against the boss.
Really close there to being a 1v1 the other way, but the Q just going to be able to finish it off for Rhydona, able to pick up that kill, and he uses his ultimate immediately. Oh, in the mid lane.
Vanguard's edge is thrown down. Syndra's in a lot of trouble with the ignite burning down. Divinus flashes away, but there goes Jerome following, not even having to burn his own flash to pick up that solo kill.
And what was actually funny there is we saw the Nidalee spear coming out that would have absolutely nailed Divinus and finished him off anyway. So just such an advantage right now that there was no escape from Divinus, no matter how he tried to escape that one. Already having burned Flash, another Tower Shard, even more gold onto the Nidalee, but crucially, the first kill going onto the Aurelia. said, has a lot of potential to do a lot of work in these later game team fights if she starts to get ahead.
And not just Irelia, but the Varus as well. Before those couple of kills for the Stratford Spartans, it was all the extra gold in the pocket of the Nidalee. All of a sudden, Varus is going, Irelia is going. Yes, we did see Set give away that solo kill to the Mordekaiser, but things definitely looking up for the Stratford team.
This looks like a wit's end game for Irelia, I think, where she's going to go for like the Tiamat, she's going to go for the she's going to go for Tiamat, she's going to go for Triforce, and she's going to go for the Wit's End on top of it because of the amount of magic resistance she's going to get from it. Means that Irelia can never be solo killed by a Mordekaiser, never be solo killed by a Syndra, and she just has supreme ability to dive whoever she wants in a fight.
Herald was started up there by Purity, but Nidalee thinking better of it as we see a big collapse coming in from the Portsmouth Pirates top laner and jungler. Meanwhile, we turn our attention back towards the bottom half of the map because things aren't looking great. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, things not looking good for Divinus. He doesn't have the flash available. Used to scatter the weak, isn't able to get the knockback on that one. Did have Jarvan waiting in the wings. Were we to see Irelia committing any further?
The wave being frozen right in front of the tower right now from Spartans is just going to be broken by the Varus Q. Going to force them to have to shove this one out.
One of the things I really love about watching this game, especially with the way the Spartans are playing at the minute, is they're playing on the edge of their limits very, very nicely. They're not overcommitting. There have been opportunities that we've seen where they could have gone for more, but they went, you know what, we'll fall back on this one. We've already got something here. We'll take the small advantage we've got. Maybe there we forced a back out of Syndra rather than getting the kill, and it's mean they're not giving away silly kills. They're not throwing some of this gold back into the Pirates' pocket, as we do see the Chains of Corruption connecting onto Leona. Meanwhile, in the top, that is going to be Set throwing down the ultimate. Has the Haymaker available? There it is. Decent damage coming through, but the shield isn't that big. He goes into the Death Realm alongside Rhydona, and that's where we see the end of this fight for now, because Mordekaiser escapes from underneath the turret.
He flashed as if he had a jungler right there ready to follow up on the play. The tower doesn't do that much damage to a Mordekaiser at this point in the game. He's already got a decent amount of levels. He's already got the Ninja Tabi. It just seems like a waste.
Soda Flare gets a slow but not a stun onto Overcast, and he is throwing arrows down for fun. Ignite is burning down Zonini, and he is going to die to one last arrow coming through. Harry the Machine manages to get the kill onto the Varus, however, and gets a decent chunk of gold for his trouble. Meanwhile, Jarvan secures the Rift Herald for his team, and a nice little turnaround of play for the Portsmouth Pirates.
And looking to just maybe drop this Rift Herald top lane, but not going to go for it. Maybe?
Rito Games is looking for a potential flag and dragon to Cataclysm. Instead, just pops that Herald down. Complete top lane pressure for this Mordekaiser.
So now Mordekaiser's going to pick up another couple shards. Should give him a matchup advantage for now until we see, as we're alluding to, like a Mercury Threads coming through from Shida. I'd like to see potentially him go Wit's End as well this game. I know he stacks so well off of health, but just having the extra survivability from it can be so useful. Maybe just going for an early Spirit Visage directly after the Triforce could be worthwhile.
Ooh, this is interesting. Purity starting up this dragon, knowing that Jarvan had been on the top side of the map, but the recall had been completed, and Rito Games is returned to try and join the fray, but not before Irelia dives in, completely obliterating the Syndra. The Cataclysm is there, but once again it is going to be the Pirates who are locked in with the Spartans, not the other way around. Purity puts good damage down on Rito Games, who's able to dodge away from the spear, but not before losing two of his teammates.
They are going to go directly onto this dragon.
A dragon that had been started up previously by Purity, having taken it very low before being discovered by Leona. Again,
There's the Athenes as well, actually.
Playing around these objectives and around their limits so well, the Spartans. Backing away from the dragon the first time, waiting for the correct fight, and then taking their reward. Yeah,
they're taking the fight at the right time. We are getting a Cloud Rift. When you have two aggressive side laners who can roam around so effectively, a Cloud Rift is very useful, and a Nidalee roaming between lanes with it as well is even more effective. As there we go, he does it without the flash this time, as he's at least able to get a solid trade.
The showstopper was good, but the immediate shield coming out of Rhydona means that the trade once again goes in favour of this top lane Mordekaiser.
And Mordekaiser is just consistently winning out at this point because he's got those extra resistances for himself. He is so much more survivable. We need to see Shida get to the point where he's either playing around the shield of Rhydona effectively, because Rhydona is just shielding through all the damage from the Set, or him utilize his W when Mordekaiser is going aggressive. So when Mordekaiser goes to land a Q, you effectively cancel out the damage with it with your own W shield. Instead, he's just throwing it into the Void Zone.
So far, it doesn't look like it's going to be one of the tankier builds for this set. Certainly looks on its way to being the Trinity Force being completed, first of all, for the Spartans top laner.
It's Triforce, Titanic, and Sterix is the common trio. It's sometimes you replace the Triforce with Black Cleaver, which is incorrect because unless you've got another key AD dealer, attack damage dealer in your team, Black Cleaver's not worth it. Unless you're up against a lot of tanks, Black Cleaver's not worth it. He's not up against a lot of tanks. He doesn't have an AD damage threat in his team that he's really trying to set up so much. So Triforce is fine.
Okay, well, we'll see whether this is going to work out. Rito Games thrown down the Cataclysm, immediately flashed out of by Overcast on the Varus, and now the damage traded back, and Rito Games flashing himself away. Solar Flare is going to catch right on top of Overcast. That might be enough to stop this fight in its tracks. We see the Braum trying to get himself to safety, ends up managing to get a big old heal. I thought it was actually heal that was popped, but no, that's just what Nidalee can do right now.
And Nidalee with the Athenes, when she stacks that up, gets an extra like 200 in healing. So effective. Keeping her allies safe.
Aurelia is waiting on the side as well, looking for potential chance to dive in instead. We'll return to the mid lane to clean up a little bit of this farm that Syndra has pushed down into Aurelia's turret nicely. We're of course at the 16-minute mark, so all of the turret plating has fallen off. We haven't had our first turret, despite all the pressure that the Pirates have been able to put down in the top lane.
And so far, it's just Portsmouth Pirates falling further and further down. They're already 2.7k down in gold. And the Aurelia being 3-0-1, the Nidalee being so far ahead as well means that these skirmishes are something you dread if you are the Portsmouth Pirates. You can't play around these dragons. And now the Cloud Dragon Rift has been revealed. That Cloud Soul is going to become that much more threatening. Think about the Aurelia where she gets all that movement speed immediately after she ults. Think about a Varus ulting and being able to instantly follow up with his team. It's actually quite threatening, and Nidalee, of course, able to just turn into cat mode and get a burst of movement speed. It's a lot of threat that they have to be aware of.
Cameras love panning up towards set, but really all the action is happening in the mid lane. Vanguard's Edge thrown down, flash once more, and this time Jerome is able to follow it, picking up a kill on Divinus. Again, not even having to burn his own flash in response.
A really nice aggression there from him to pick up another solo kill. Should be too hard now for the Syndra to ever really solo kill him for the rest of the game. Has to be looking to pick off the Varus in a fight, pick off maybe the Nidalee. Those are the only ways we're going to see the Syndra really ever be relevant again.
It's a rough time. I mean, decent CS numbers coming in there for Divinus, but not the return to this this Belong Arena Clash team that maybe would have been hoping for. Purity, absolutely, on the other hand, dominating the Rift. A 50 CS advantage over Rito Games. The opposition jungler also with that 3-0-2 scoreline, sitting very, very pretty.
It's just really that the Jarvan hasn't done anything so much this game. Every time he's looked for a play, he's been denied by a counter gank. Every time he's gone aggressive, he's been shut down. And it's just causing him to fall further and further behind.
Meanwhile, Rito Games looking for yet another gank. Of course, we saw earlier on the burn the flash from Overcast. That is not back up, so if this Cataclysm is to land this time the Varus will be well and truly locked down. Just waiting for the correct opportunity.
He should just be channeling recall. I don't know why he's just standing here. I mean, he's just sitting in a brush waiting. At least half channel your recall so you can leave if you need to. There's a reason you don't see junglers do this in front lane. You don't see junglers just sit in a brush doing nothing. They're always channeling their recall. So at any moment they could leave if they need to. They are essentially just holding that 8-second window and then deciding at the end of it whether they should stay or not. Instead, he's just wasted so much time while Nidalee got off a free recall and has already got the components of her Lich Bane.
Which is a big old item spike for Nidalee, who will hit even more so with those enhanced auto attacks. Our third dragon of the game has appeared on the Rift, and straight away we can see the attention of the Spartans coming down towards the bot side. Pirates are trying to clear out as much vision as they can to try and put a bit of a slow on the Spartans' attempt to get towards Dragon Soul.
Hey, looks like a Wit's End coming through from Jerome. I'm happy to see it. Maybe it could be a Hex Drink, to be fair, but I'd much rather see a Wit's End because it synergizes so well with Aurelia. It's essentially giving her a second Conqueror passive.
Big item spikes coming in for the Spartans. Trinity Force completed on both top laner and mid
This
laner
is the spike.
already.
They have to fight. This is the moment. So enjoy it. This is where they've got to show up and start a fight. Because if they just let this moment slip, then they're letting Portsmouth get back into the game. They're letting Portsmouth off, really, with one that they shouldn't be getting. So getting this Cloud Dragon, sure, that's fine. But I really want to see them start a big skirmish as soon as possible.
5k gold lead for the Spartans. There's no doubt in my mind right now that if we were to take a straight 4v4 or 5v5, they would come out on top in those skirmishes. And that is exactly why the Pirates are not buying into them. They're happy to give away a couple of turrets, happy to give away a few dragons, but they've got to be careful.
You got 4 members down in the bot side of the map. You've got a TP ready from the set at any moment, and you've got a bot lane tier 1 that's still alive. Okay, force a fight there while you've got your item spikes. Send 5 members down there and do something about it.
Well, Baron is now spawning onto the roof. We just saw the 1 Herald in this game as Nidalee picks up a nice easy blue buff, and yet again we do see that Rito Games, he's there hovering, and this time he is channeling that recall. I think he might have been listening to you, Sin.
If only he listened to me. I can say that from having watched him play before. But all the same, they still have full control of this bottom side of the map to the side of Stratford Spartans, and they've showed up in a way we didn't really expect. We were expecting a lot more from the Portsmouth Pirates, and we can't just say this is the Portsmouth Pirates just playing poorly. They're just doing bad, and that's why they're falling behind. No, this is the Stratford Spartans playing well. The Nidalee has done so much to deny this Jarvan at all points of the game.
Leona landing a solar flare and a zenith blade with a cataclysm raining down top as well set as well. Massive old shields coming through from the haymaker. Now the damage is returned. There's the Vanguard's edge. Stratford Spartans turning this fight around. Low health bars for both of the teams, but the lowest of them all is for the Pirates. They are trying to get themselves to safety. Teleport used by the Syndra just to buy a little bit of time for the Pirates lineup. Meanwhile, in the top lane, their top laner is continuing to push. Rhydona looking to get a turret. That's going to be Rito Games just about dodging away from Jerome, but here comes Purity. The Nidalee dashing in. The damage is good, but he's going to be a big old escape from Rito Games. Set returns to the top lane to find not only has he lost 1 turret, but he's also lost more than half the health on his inner.
Pirates incredibly lucky not to lose anyone there, but they lose the outer tower in the bot lane in trade for Mordekaiser just picking this one up on the top side of the map. But that was the kind of fight we needed to see Stratford Spartans force. They needed to be in the position to force that one. They needed to be the ones ready to pull the trigger. Instead, it was the other way around. It was Portsmouth pulling the trigger onto the set.
It felt like the Spartans wanted to pull the trigger. They were setting up the potential dive with the Nidalee, with the set. However, their sort of slowness to actually make a play, the teleport coming through from Divinus, meant that eventually it was actually the Pirates who were more actionary than reactionary. Now, however, this is what we want to see coming out of Jerome, but he's about to find Leona coming towards him. The Solar Flare doesn't connect, but the Zenith Blade does. That is going to be a dash back on towards Jerome. That's going to be a shutdown. Big gold coming into the Zaya's pocket. The second kill of the game for the Machine.
A really important shutdown there is far too aggressive from Jerome. Had no one nearby from his team and was fighting 3 members of the Portsmouth Pirates. Far too much there. Does end up falling down on the back side of it, giving up a huge shutdown goal, like you say. But still very far ahead, still very hard for the Portsmouth Pirates to find another fight like that without big mistakes from the Spartans.
Purity not quite connecting with the spears, so not able to get that additional damage down.
Actually a loss.
And Rhydona here in a lot of trouble, using the stopwatch to try and stay alive in the death realm, but is not going to be able to. There's the big old showstopper. Purity on a rampage, getting a 4th kill of the game. It's been a while since we saw one for the Nidalee, but when it came in style.
I think he realized, oh wait, this is a 3-item Nidalee with Lich Bane completed. I have 2 items and I have 0 MR, I can't fight this. And he realized that a little bit too late, as he just falls down and gets completely destroyed in that skirmish.
Well, this game is actually bubbling into quite an action-packed one. It was a slow start, but at 23 minutes in, with a 10-3 scoreline, it's only a 4,000 gold lead for the Spartans. The Pirates still very much so having a hand on being able to win this game.
Double QSS available now for the Stratford Spartans as well, meaning that Rhydona's not going to shut down a key fight by removing one of those 2 damage dealers. Definitely effective because the amount of armor he's built up now. It would be very difficult for Avaris to 1v1 him in that scenario. It would be just getting run down by the Mordekaiser.
Spear there landing onto Harry the Machine, and just like that, Zaya losing a huge amount of health. Not quite so much on Rito Games because he has got himself the Merc Treads and also a Negatron Cloak as well. Considering the Chain Vestals there as well, I'm expecting to see the Stone Plate.
I would definitely expect the Stone Plate. I mean, there's no other option there. If he just built the Chain Vest and a Stopwatch, you could argue it's going to be GA, but he's not going to build the Negatron and not build it into the Stone Plate, one of the most broken items in the game right now.
Control Ward is nicely defended by the Pirates, and that's actually very useful for them because this 4th dragon is spawning. The Spartans, of course, still looking to force potential fights, still looking to pick up the soul for themselves, but this time the Pirates are not going quietly into the night.
The Aurelia waiting on the flank here. You see this, she's waiting for them to overstep because she's got a really good flanking position.
Chains of Corruption land on the Rito Games, use the flag and drag to go aggressive, locks 3 up with the Cataclysm, but it is going to be Rito Games who is taken down.
Oh god,
Bad
bad
first,
TP,
Purity,
bad TP.
trying to get as much damage in as possible. Here comes Mordekaiser joining the fight, but unable to do too much as the Showstopper comes in, and that is going to deliver a kill straight after Shieda, who takes down the Leona. That is going to be shut down gold as Purity dies for the first time this game, and a triple kill coming in from the Syndra, who has gone absolutely godlike in this fight, and the Mordekaiser TP did not look great at first, but at the end of the day, it is Portsmouth Pirates who stand tall and take themselves a Cloud Dragon.
The AoE lands perfectly there as Henry the Machine's able to kite it out. They get the Cloud Dragons themselves, denying the soul, and a crucial fight turnaround for the Portsmouth Pirates that was desperately needed at this point in the game. Otherwise, this game was surely over.
So much gold has just gone into Harry the Machine's pocket. Already Infinity Edge, the Essence Reaver complete, and you've got to assume a third item is well on the way.
And of course, these Syndra getting a triple kill in that fight, going from 0 and 3 to 3, 3 and 2. I believe he was 0, 3 and 1 before that fight. It was so rough of a game for him. Now he's suddenly become relevant. We said he really needed to work on picking off those members like the Nidalee and the Varus, and he did exactly that and was able to pick up an ult on a like 10 HP Aurelia as well to pick up a third kill, so that's going to get him so much more gold. He's going to get so much more of an advantage in this game now when he comes into these later fights, especially now he's got this Morellonomicon, which some people don't like nowadays. Morellonomicon, very questionable item by most people, but to deny the Nidalee heal, the double Conqueror effect, the Blade of the Rune King, there's enough healing that you're denying.
Meanwhile, Baron is now the point of contention for these two teams, starting to set up vision around the top side river. The Portsmouth Pirates doing a really great job of being patient. Yes, they'd gone 7 kills down, but they had not thrown this game away by any means, and suddenly they're only 2,000 gold behind.
That 2,000 gold is not really all that much, as you say, as you're alluding to in the scheme of things, but what you have to acknowledge is the key resistances. Oh god, the QSS goes way too early.
Wow, Solar Flare just completely obliterating Overcast's chances of escaping there. Like you say, the QSS unable to save you if you use it before the Solar Flare hits.
I'm just amazed at how many mistakes Stratford Spartans are now making in terms of their positioning. They shouldn't be giving up this many kills. And unfortunately, it's given Portsmouth Pirates the ability to get back into the game. It's given them control over the river. And with this holding, with the holding potential of the river, it's so much more difficult for the side of Stratford Spartans to step up without a fear of Leona engaged, without fear of a Syndra stun.
Stoneplate now completed for Rito Games. That does mean he's going to be that little bit tankier as he jumps into multiple people, as he has done so many times. And actually going back to that last fight, the Cataclysm, where he locked 3 people down for so long, and then Feathers were flying into that walled off area, that really bought his team a lot of time, and now he'll have even more time to live.
It just gives you that much more survivability in the fights. As, we criticised his early game, but he has been doing decently in these fights. It's just a case of, yeah, Jutman is good because he can do things from levels 1 to 5. He doesn't rely on his level 6, and we didn't see that this game. So it was a case of his team was quite far down, and generally I blamed him for it, but now he's been able to get back into it. He's helped turn this around for his team.
A decent debut for him so far.
Not really.
No.
Mediocre.
Getting better.
Getting better.
Will it continue to get even better? Will he be able to help lead this team of Pirates across the finish line for game number 1? Harry the Machine certainly is trying to be a big part of that leading. Of course, we know him as Blubber from previous seasons, and right now he is showing the class that we know that he can have.
And this control they have now, though, you see what they're able to do when they start roaming around the map with this. Where they have the Leona constantly, you have to worry about this solar flare coming out of Fog of War. They can't even step towards the Baron right now, they're afraid. They don't really have the ability to contest the waves anywhere near as easily anymore either, because of the wave clear of Syndra plus Xayah.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens in a couple of minutes' time as our 5th dragon spawns, because you've got to assume the same sort of contest is going to be coming through again.
And of course that Cloud Soul would be so beneficial for the Stratford Spartans, but thinking about like Mordekaiser and a Xayah both picking up 40% CDR on their ult, that does sound pretty nice, doesn't it? Just being able to ult every 20 seconds.
I have to say, like, the combination you can have with like your 40% CDR plus your 40% ult CDR plus Ultimate Hunter is one of the most interesting combinations that we get these days, as we see the Baron being started up by the Stratford Spartans. They know they cleared out the vision, but Set is lurking. Rito Games already being zoned off this one, down to 50% health, and here come the rest of the Spartans looking for a fight. That's going to be Vanguard's Edge thrown down on towards Rhydona, who's trying to stay alive, but his shield will only help him so far. The Hextech Protobelt doesn't help. The Zonya's probably not going to help too much either, and that is going to be Jerome forcing the flash for flash out of Rhydona, who is looking to get to the safety of his waiting team. How many dashes does Jerome have left? The answer is not quite enough, and here comes Rito Games locking the Cataclysm down onto Purity, but the fight is going on in the background as the Glacial Fisher is going to connect with Divinus. That's going to be Divinus going down to the Varus. Now what can we see Harry the Machine do? He picks up one kill, but now here he comes throwing those feathers out straight into Braum's shield. Overall across the map, it's been a 2-for-2 so far, but make that a 4-for-2 because the Spartans just came back out of nowhere, and Purity throwing spears right through the heart of the Pirates, looking to claw that damage down onto Rito Games, who's trying to flag and drag to escape. He may just manage that, but for sure the Dragon is going to be going over to the Spartans.
It's really hard for them to contest right now with Rito Games being so low. They can just turn on him and kill him instantly. Mordekaiser doesn't have his ult back up just yet, so he can't even try and steal it, as way too late. The Doctor dives in and just delivers some free gold onto the enemy team. Let's just describe it that way.
That was a Doctor who felt like a pair of curtains. He needed to pull himself together before that one.
Yikes. Going on to the Baron now. But having this Cloud Dragon taken with the jungler dead because he gave up his life, this Baron is going to go over pretty quickly.
Rhydona trying to have something to say about that, and will use the Death Realm to channel
and there's the
for as long as
QSS.
possible, but with the QSS on the Varus, that is going to ruin the dreams of Rhydona's attempts to stop the Baron, which is immediately started back up. However, now the Portsmouth Pirates do have more members around to try and contest. Crucially, the Syndra and the Zyra both here, but also more crucially, Rito Games has only just respawned, so the potential for a smite still is not pleasant. What can Divinus do? Looking for a potential skill. Throws in the orbs. That's going to be the steal coming in! Syndra goes absolutely heroic for the Portsmouth Pirates, denying the Spartans the buff they so much desire.
Are you kidding me? It seems like the secured Baron coming through. You have the execute from the Q from Nidalee plus the smite. Should never be stolen by a Q from Syndra, but it goes through, and that is the lifeline that the Portsmouth Pirates needed.
Leona did die in that exchange, which does mean that Rhydona and Zumi as well are going to be missing this Baron buff. However, 3 members of the Portsmouth Pirates are now empowered, as are their chances of getting back into the game. The gold lead had fallen back to round about the 4 or 5,000 mark for the Spartans, pulled straight back down to 3k. Pirates, like I say, the lifeline is there. Can they take it?
That's the key part here. Can they do something now? If the gold lead is only 3,500, which at 32 minutes isn't all that much. We need to see how the Stratford Spartans can now try and either come back into this, or if Portsmouth Pirates are going to utilize this Baron to pick up tower after tower, even out the gold score, and then pick up that Elder Dragon, crucially, as a win condition.
We have got an absolutely brilliant first game in this best of 3 series, and it is just one of those series where I hope it goes to 3 games, because if all of those games end up being as exciting as this one is, then wow, what a show we will have had on the first week of the spring
I
split.
don't want to see a team just lose Baron for no reason 3 games in a row. I mean,
I don't mean the exact same events. I just mean I like this level of
lost
action.
it for no reason.
It's been exciting stuff.
But it was just, there was...
What can I say? When you've got Rito Games on your team, you've just got natural pressure around the Baron.
Yeah, let's go with that. As the tower's going to fall, like we said, that does help even out the gold score a bit. A tower is worth 500 gold, a couple more outer towers, and maybe a bit more of this CS is needed to really even this out fully.
Still a couple of turrets going over to the Baron empowered team. They're starting to look pretty tasty as they make their way up across the map, but they have got to be careful. They've managed to make a couple of picks, but if they get caught themselves, it could very, very easily turn to the game for the Spartans.
You can see how little Nidalee does anymore. You've seen how much she's been nerfed. She's 6, 1, and 5, and it feels like her spears just do a tenth of someone health. Just a tenth. Like, this is what the champion when it was most relevant. That was like a Zoe Q Q that was hitting.
Chains of Corruption, Quantum Divina starting the fight. Here come the Pirates trying to fight back. Jerome's already managed to pick up that 1 kill. It's a 1-for-1 so far as we see Harry the Machine getting yet more kills. 7th of the game as Rhydona goes into the Death Realm trying to get some good damage down onto Jerome, but he is just absolutely being eaten through as he uses the stopwatch to try and keep himself alive. Jerome's got damage. Purity picks up yet another kill. The spears might tickle, but in comes the full Cougar. Harry the Machine manages to get a kill onto Aurelian, still trying to carry this Portsmouth Pirates team. It's a 2-for-2 so far as the fight continues with a spear catching onto Harry the Machine. Will we see Shieda stepping forward on the set? The answer is no. Rito Games uses the flag and drag, gets to safety having dodged away from the spear. Such tight fights.
And you can see all this movement speed boost she's consistently getting from switching to Cougar form, though, is keeping up this pressure, is keeping them chasing them down. That extra 10% movement speed, of course, you get from Cloud Dragon just means it's so difficult for them to get off this recall. Even though they got a solid fight, it still feels like they lost in that pressure.
Portsmouth Pirates, it felt in that fight like they were hanging on by a thread, and the thread was called Harry the Machine. He has been so dominant. The 8-2-2 Zaya, showing exactly what you were talking about earlier today with how important that champion can be, and right now it could be the difference between life and death for the Pirates.
Still not picked up that last item as she's sold her boots. Sorry, it needs to sell her boots to get the full items, but look at the BF sword there. That's likely to be building into a Storm Razor so that you get 40% crit. At that point, you got to think about selling your boots for, and at that point, what do you sell it for? It's probably a Bloodthirster.
Just looking at Divinity's items, we saw him get caught out by the Chains of Corruption there, which actually massively negated the damage he could put out through the fight as Jerome dived in and finished him off. Are you surprised that we don't see anything like a Zonya's or a Banshee's Veil yet?
Not particularly, honestly. This is... Nidalee is really not whittling them away all that much. So,
More from the protection rather than the actual stats, if that makes sense.
But the point being that the Nidalee spears are not actually doing all that much. It would just be a waste of stats. At this point, there's not all that much magic damage you're trying to mitigate. So, it's like the Varus ultimate's the only real thing you're really worried about with that, and that's not so much of a reason to build Banshees.
That's fair enough. And not Zonya's either, just in case you get caught out by Chains of Corruption, buy yourself a bit of time.
I mean, we see one Zonya's. The only other one we can see here is from Syndra. She is
Yeah,
building
I'm looking at
Banshees.
Divinity's build especially, because he's the one who got caught and has so much damage.
Yeah, it's... He is building towards a Banshee's Veil because he does want the extra magic resistance. I do think he should have gone Zonya's instead. Even just having a stopwatch here would be more relevant.
For the first time this split, we see the Elder Dragon spawn. We've got one on our desk, and now we've got one on the Rift too. The Portsmouth Pirates positioning themselves, but it's the Spartans who seem to have the upper hand. That being said, the Feather Recall does take away a decent bit of Ichi's health as he scurries himself back towards his team and immediately finds all that health restored by a friendly Nidalee.
And Nidalee just healing him back up to full instantly. This is the one thing you have with the fact that you are trying to whittle people away with a Q. Every single time you do, you stack up your heal, so you can heal an ally decently again, but just dancing around this Elder. You can see that Aurelia is trying to push up this bot wave so that Stratford Spartans have something to answer. You can see that Divinus was doing the same, pushing the mid wave.
Exactly that, mid in favour of the Pirates, bot lane in favour of the Spartans, top lane is roundabout even, the Dragon being danced around. This is one of the tightest fights we have experienced for a long time here on Arena Clash, and it could all be decided by who gets this crucial buff. So far it's looking good for the Spartans. An engage button needs to be pressed by the Pirates at some point. The Solar Flare is available. Will we see any kind of engage? Here comes the Feather Storm. We're used so early. That's going to be a massive set ultimate, wrecking through the health bars of the Pirates, and just like that, the Spartans have complete control of the fight. Set does get taken down eventually, but not before two members of the Pirates die. Here comes the cleanup crew. Jerome gets another. That's going to be Purity on a rampage, finishing off the Mordekaiser. Only Syndra survives. The Baron completely resets, but it doesn't matter because there's almost no one here to contest it. The Stratford Spartans get 4 kills and will get themselves the Elder.
And Varus shows up in that fight, able to utilize the fully stacked Gwinsus and his passive to be able to shred through those key members. Gets the shutdown onto Harry the Machine. Right at the start, though, Harry had to burn that ultimate immediately to try and stop the, slow down at least, the engage of the Aurelia and the set. It wasn't enough. They get the Elder. Now you got to think next fight is the one.
And that is the first time I've really seen the Showstopper used to such great effect. Picking up, I believe it was the Leona, dunking her into the team, and just like that, so much of their health bars were gone. Now the Baron is up, and the Elder Dragon Execute is there for the Spartans.
It's why is Corky's ultimate called the special delivery when that's really the special delivery? Delivering that Leona, just like here's the
It was either
package.
the Leona or the Jarvan, whichever it
slams
was.
Leona down.
It was scary to watch.
Slams Leona down directly into the river to the rest of the team as well.
Oh, well, that is going to be Harry the Machine picking up a red buff. He will need that and possibly some more if the Pirates are to stop the Spartans as they continue to march towards the victory line in this first game of the best of 3 series. It is an absolutely great game. We had a lovely series earlier on between the Vikings and also the Spectres, but I'll tell you what, this is something altogether different. This is a 40-minute classic between two teams who will both be hoping, I'm sure, to push towards the playoffs.
Now they're looking towards this Baron.
Been
You can
started?
see that, yeah, they've started it up. And Portsmouth need to do something about it, but they're afraid of this Elder.
Baron already down around about the half health. We know just how
They can't have
quickly
another one
Baron
stolen,
can
surely.
fight through. It would be a real shock if Purity was to miss out on this one, but this time Rito Games is hovering, looking to make that heroic debut play for the Portsmouth Pirates. Healthy Stratford Spartans. You see Rydona going in. That's
Oh
going to
my
be
God.
the steal coming in from Rito Games. He gets himself the Baron, but the kills are coming through from the Stratford Spartans, using that Elder Dragon to great effect, executing Rito Games, executing Rydona, and now looking to try and execute part of the Pirates base, but they will not have the Baron for the second time this game.
Credit to Doctor, got into the Baron pit, was able to get it at the last possible moment, but 2 Barons in a row stolen. Are you kidding me, Stratford? You can't let that happen. It was more than a 50-50. You had the setup, you had the ability to turn and DPS. You could even have had set flash ulting the Jarvan away. Instead, doesn't do so. They lose that, but they are able to pick up the kill, so they get this inhib. They lose the Brom for it, but crucially now, going for another kill. Ooh!
Oh, they've stepped too far. Purity gets taken down. Here comes the Featherstorm, ripping through the health bars of the Stratford Spartans, but here comes Jerome trying to take down Harry the Machine. He is
Oh, no.
unsuccessful. Guardian's Angel
Oh,
is
no.
gonna pop, and that is going to be back to life, only to be killed again. Overcast, it's gonna be stormy weather for you, and now the Baron Empowered team can push themselves.
And Purity pushes them too far. They lose all of their Elders, and now it is just the Baron given over for free, pretty much, to the Portsmouth Pirates.
Just at the cost of that inhibitor. Teleport coming in. That's going to be Divinus joining the team as quickly as he can as the Baron Empowered team look to push down as far as they can. We've got 30-second death timers on the 2 main carries for the Spartans. What can they do to defend against this Pirates lineup? Set, he's lurking in the wings, but he's got no extra damage behind him. He certainly can't stop this push all by himself.
And this looks to be pretty much game here unless we see a miracle turnaround.
Miracles are what Belong Arena Clash is made of. We've already seen those 2
They aren't
Baron
gonna push
steals
too far.
today, and the Pirates decide not to make the same mistake the Spartans did.
So it's just inhib for inhib overall on the play unless they can use the last of this Baron buff to good effect. The issue right now is just Harry the Machine is tearing through health bars in every single one of these fights. That did not become a Stormraiser, it became a GA instead, so it's even harder to get rid of him in these skirmishes.
So one thing, going back to that Baron fight there, thinking back to it, I'm not 100% sure on it, but I'm pretty confident. Mordekaiser, as he got into the midst of that fight, I'm pretty sure he used the Death Realm on Rydona, meaning that the smite was completely nullified as the rest of that damage came through, making for that easier smite steal for Rito Games. Still a very good steal, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened, and that's a great play coming in from Rydona.
Regardless, Doctor shouldn't have been allowed into the pit. Very well played.
I agree.
But you can't just allow the enemy jungler into the pit in a 50-50 situation like that. You either have to commit to the fight, or you have to commit to denying him access to the pit altogether.
Oh, you love to see that as an ADC. The double bars attaching the support to the ADC, the Knight's Vow, the Zeke's Convergence both completed. The Elder Dragon back onto the Rift very, very shortly. Surely we can't see another steal of an objective. The Pirates trying to set up as much vision as they can this time. They are the first ones to arrive at the pit, and they're doing what they can to zone away the Spartans.
Yeah, they don't have control of the mid-wave right now, though. That is being given to the Stratford Spartans, rather. So they're shoving this one up. They're giving themselves control of the river by denying them access to this mid-wave. The bot wave pushing in as well. It's really hard for Portsmouth to step in.
Fortunately, however, Divinus and Rydona are going to be able to push that straight back into the Spartan space. They are looking for a potential catch, however. The Elder will be spawning in round about 20 seconds time. This game is balanced so very finely. You blink and you could miss the end of the game. I blinked, I didn't miss the end of the game.
With all these items completed, all these spikes here for the Stratford Spartans, you'd think they were in the lead by a long way, but it is only 2,000 gold. Portsmouth Pirates have been able to keep up with them at all terms because of these crucial 2 Baron steals. It's all going to come down to this Elder, though, surely.
And it's little things like that. We're going to see a red buff on Overcast. We will not see one on Harry the Machine because his is spawning in just a moment or two. Certainly not in time. The catch is going to be landing onto Rhydona, who's just completely caught out of position. Tries to duel out against Ichi, just trying to stay alive for as long as possible. Goes golden. It has got Harry the Machine for company, and it is actually going to make the great escape and get the kill as well. Flash away there from Overcast, getting out of the Cataclysm. And just like that, it's a 5 versus 4. The Portsmouth Pirates, the ones to start up the Elder Dragon.
But Set's trying to push up to get an inhib. We'll see if they're able to do anything about this.
They've sent Mordekaiser back to try and deal with it, but the inhibitor will already be gone by the time that he arrives. Now the fight is going on around the dragon. We've still got Nidalee looking to try and get a steal back, to try and do something, but is being zoned away. This could be the Elder Dragon for the Portsmouth Pirates. The piercing arrow was so freaking close to stealing that.
But crucially, the Elder goes over to the Portsmouth Pirates, and after 2 Baron steals, we have to keep coming back to this. The only reason they are here is because twice Stratford Spartans gave over Baron when they were the ones taking it, and now Portsmouth have been given so many windows back into this game. They finally found one that they've pushed their way through.
The Portsmouth Pirates have the Elder, and for the 3rd time in this 45-minute titanic epic, the Baron will be spawning. There are 2 downed inhibitors in the Portsmouth Pirates base. The Spartans have lost 1 themselves. This game is absolutely off the chain.
This Baron now, it's so hard to contest it against the Elder. You have to think that they're looking for some kind of sneaky backdoor play with this top wave pushing in. They have to answer this top wave, make sure it's shoved all the way out so that Stratford Spartans can't do anything with it. Of course, we saw last time they just gave up Elder. They were able to get an inhibitor for it. If they risk that again, they could potentially give up a Nexus Tower, maybe even 2.
Crucially, that inhibitor in the mid lane has just respawned for the Portsmouth Pirates, so they now themselves have that push advantage in the mid lane. They're looking to try and get themselves their 3rd Baron of the game. This time, not trying to steal it, just to secure it for themselves, and it is gone in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, they're not even going to try and contest this Baron. They're just giving it up, waiting until the Elder Dragon is done before they try and take another fight. But this means that for the first time in a long time this game, Portsmouth Pirates are about even on gold with the Stratford Spartans.
100 gold difference at 46.5 minutes. What an incredible game we have got. But now Portsmouth Pirates on defensive duty, trying to clear out as many of these super minions, trying to protect their Nexus turrets for all they are worth. Continuing the split push is Rhydona down in the bot lane. He's just recalled now. We're pretty much at full item builds for everybody on the map. Right now, with the full scale, with the teams almost level, the soul in favour of the Spartans. Who do you favour going into the next big fight?
Honestly, Portsmouth Pirates still have the Elder, so they have to win every fight. It's going to be easy.
There can't be that long left, and it looks like Rito Games is trying to take the fight while he can. Divinus and Rhydona, they both have the teleport available. They could join so quickly, as we see yet again, Inhibitor is being pushed down. The Spartans trying to defend this one. This is such a crucial objective.
They're waiting for the Elder to go down before they look for an engage here. They have to wait. They can't buy into a fight against Elder. That burn damage plus the execute is far too much. It's essentially like playing with one less champion worth of a health bar.
Big Spear does land onto Rito Games, but as you said earlier, it is basically just tickling that tanky champion at the minute. He's also got the Locket of Solari, Locket of Iron Solari completed. Inhibitor will drop again here in the mid lane. Mordekaiser continuing the push in the top side. He's surely going to have the rest of his team joining with the Baron buff.
It looks like Elder is about to run out, so this is the window now that Stratford Spartans have to make a play.
And with the
there
base,
it is, it's gone.
With the bases as they are, whoever wins the next fight wins the game.
Definitely so. This is crunch time. This is the moment that heroes are made. And both teams have to find something to say.
Both teams are just skirting around each other. No one wanting to be the player who makes the misstep that costs his team the game. Purity lands a massive
big spear.
And now we're going to see whether or not this is the time for go. There's a change of correction, catching onto Leona. There's the dunk, getting damage onto multiple members as well. Showstopper is good. Nidalee Spear is going to connect. Cataclysm used just for zoning potential. The carry, that is Harry, is trying to do what he can. Divinus picks up a kill, and the fight is going in favour of the Portsmouth Pirates. Set does manage to kill off the Zaya, but not before the rest of his team is obliterated. Overcast is is the last man standing for the Stratford Spartans, and the Portsmouth Pirates will look to close out the game. Rydona and Divinus completing their recalls. They've got the teleports available. They'll go straight into the mid lane.
Yeah, they're going to need to fight through this Varus, who is on full HP, but so are they now as well. With the Baron-empowered minions, this should be it.
It's a 3 versus 1. Ultimate base defense time for the Stratford Spartans ADC. Dodging away from the Scat of the Week, dodging away from the Mordekaiser Bull. He's trying to get the damage down. Rito Games tanking up the turret for his team. The Portsmouth Pirates are so very close to getting the win. They stole 2 Barons. They secured another for themselves. Now they take the Nexus. The Stratford Spartans lose from a dominating position. The Pirates come back and take game 1.
And you have to say a thrown game from the Stratford Spartans. But, you know, it takes 2 to throw, it takes 1 to catch, and the Portsmouth Pirates, they took the ball, they ran with it, and they managed to take it all the way to the enemy Nexus. But 2 Barons, we have to keep coming back to this, 2 Barons stolen. That should never, ever happen in a game where you are playing so poorly around Baron that you're either not executing it correctly or you're not denying the enemy jungler access to the pit. Or at very least, if you think there's a chance it could be stolen, you're not trying to commit to the fight.
And that's what happened on the second one. Like, on that one, you could say it was probably a 70-30 chance. 70 being that the Spartans take the dragon, 30 being the nice Mordekaiser ult zoning out the jungler, the Jarvan arriving at just the right time with Smite. The first one was more like a 95% to 5% chance of steal. That's the one where you've got to raise a few eyebrows.
Reminds me of one I saw years ago where it was just a Caitlyn auto-attacking over the wall. And she ends up stealing Baron with a Runan's Hurricane Bolt red buff.
Yep. Yeah, that was quite a game. Frankly, that was such a game that we got to take ourselves just a little breather to regain our composure for what could still be 2 more games of League of Legends, because not only do we have to regain our composure, so do the Spartans. They've just, you know, like you say, thrown a game from a massive lead. They've got to get their mental sorted. They've got to sort their draft for the next game, and we will be bringing you that game number 2 of this 3-game series, straight after this break. Back again, going to be coming into game number 2 of this best of 3 series between the Pirates and the Spartans. We've got ourselves a lovely Elder Dragon statue, and if only we had the old UKLC Baron statue, then you could have stolen it.
Twice.
Twice.
In the
Oh,
same
man.
game.
I'll tell you what, never, ever has my pin been more expressive of how a game went.
That is definitely how I feel after that one. About 50 minutes of well, let's say it's a 50-minute game, and about 40 minutes of that 45 minutes of that were Stratford dominating.
Yep.
And then it was about 5 minutes of, oh, I guess we have Elder, and oh, game's ending. That was about it.
Full credit though, the door was left just a tiny bit ajar, and in came the Pirates. They took what they could.
So
basically what Pirates do.
The Zaya was a really good pick there because of what it was able to do, where she was just kiting back into the set, into the Aurelia, and landed a huge E, able to shut down so much damage from the side of the Stratford Spartans, where the key damage dealers were just bursted instantly at the start of the fight. They weren't able to really contribute anything else, and that was something I definitely have to give credit for. Harry played amazingly.
I mean, he's living up to his name there. Changed it from Flubber, which can be a little bit wobbly, a little all over the place, to Harry the Machine. And my word,
Cold,
was he
clinical,
an
calculating.
absolute monster.
Yes.
Yeah, that was just a great performance from the ADC, coming in from the Pirates, looking for more of the same. The Spartans on the other side, they've got to reset. They've got to look at that and go, we did well for the majority of the game. We've got to do that again and then close it out.
It definitely was rough in that game towards the end, where we just saw so many issues really arise for the Stratford Spartans around those key objectives, where they just ended up throwing it away, where they should have had full control. And I need to see them now shore up those issues, continue to perform in the early game as they did, and close out the game a bit cleaner, because Portsmouth, they were able to stay too close to them in gold throughout.
We are going to be bringing you straight into the Champ Select for game number 2 as soon as it is ready, which apparently is right now. So we are going to see just what changes. Portsmouth Pirates now on the blue side of the map. Of course, Pro Draft was used, so we're not necessarily going to see the order of picks and bans as they were done. Just, always a shame, don't get that little insight into how the draft came to be, but we will get to see the end result.
And so now we see the Yasuo being banned away. It's actually something we saw in the first series, so it's interesting to see that one banned. And then Nidalee being taken away from Purity. It was a very strong performance on him, 10, 3, and 7. Unfortunately, in that last fight, ended up just chasing down Divinus and not being able to kill him, dying for it, not being able to contribute anything to the fight because he just tried to 1v1 the enemy mid laner and lost. But
rest of your bans are going to be Nautilus, Ornn coming in as well, and the final ban from the Spartans was Aphelios.
okay, so Senna available, Set available. It is going to be the Set first pick. With the Mordekaiser band, will be interesting to see what he picks into it. This is the Renekton, and is Purity just going to go for the classic Sejuani?
So Set picked again. You could almost
Oh,
say
it's Talia.
You could almost say it was Set 2. So the Renekton and Talia locked in for the Stratford Spartans. Elise and Oriana are going to be the responses coming in from the Pirates. Of course, this isn't necessarily how things were picked. This is just going straight into the roles that they're going to be played on the Rift today.
Yes, so now the Oriana going to be locked in the mid lane. I'm interested to see now how they try and get a sort of wombo combo almost sort of thing going around the Oriana, because Set's not a bad ball delivery system because he slams one person trying to get them into the rest of the team.
And a hell of a wombo combo too, because if it works, if he's managed to not only get the damage from his own ult plus then the shockwave on top of it, that's insane.
But the way you can play around it is that you can actually use the ultimate while he's in midair.
Oh.
So
if people are dodging away, you can still
exactly, so that the people aren't just going to naturally get away. So it's a good way to combo with Set's ultimate. I want to see if that does work out, as the Vigar is going to be the mid lane counterpart.
We're still looking at Glacial Augment Vigar, I assume?
Yeah, it's the Glacial Augment Vigar. It just gives you so much zone control around key objectives. That's what you
zone control around key objectives. It's almost like that's something the Spartans
it's
want.
almost something like they needed. As But it's interesting to see Purity go for another AP early game jungler like the Talia. And Talia and Nidalee, I've described them before as very similar champions. They were farm very quickly, gank early, snowball, key damage threat in the late game. And Kai'Sa, Alistair, and Tristana, Leona. A lot of AD carry bans have led to this. Senna crucially not picked whatsoever.
Yeah, we saw something very, very similar to this in the LEC. Either I think it was last week, possibly the week before, where the 4 ADC bans led to us having a Draven in lane for Hans Sama, whereas now it's going to be the Tristana that's locked in for the Harried Machine. We already saw what he could do on the Xayah. No chance to do that, but still got himself a pretty decent champion with resets and big damage.
Yeah, the Tristana can be one that snowballs very effectively if he is able to get into the game, but this is something that he needs to show up on. Otherwise, the Vigar could just lock him down in the cage. The whole idea of him just trying to ult somebody away for safety, it doesn't really have that same kiting threat that the Xayah has. It's a lot more about going forward. And Stratford Spartans, they don't really let you go forward at all. You have an Alistair and a Vigar there. You aren't going to be able to go through those.
Fun fact, came across a Tristana in one of our teams in an ARAM recently.
Yep.
Built 2 Warmogs, first of all. Followed it up with something like a
third Warmogs?
A Randuin's or something like that.
Not 3 Warmogs, what's the point?
Basically just all tanky items.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that actually we had some decent damaging champions and we ended up winning the game and played fairly well, highest damaging champion in the game. Yeah.
That can't feel so good.
I mean, if it had done like 30,000 and we'd all done like just useless damage, then yeah, I would have said that. But it's like 70,000 damage in a normal game of ARAM. It was just like, it was tanky.
I guess she
can
can just go absurdly aggressive and just land a lot of free damage. Yeah.
Exactly that. Yeah, that was an interesting one. I don't think we're going to see that build coming out of Harry in this one. We will find out very shortly just what we'll see. Portsmouth Pirates are 1-0 going into game number 2. Stratford Spartans looking to bounce back.
And now we'll have to see how this one starts off. We've seen a couple of interesting starts, like 5-man stacks, some early invades, and see if Portsmouth Pirates do opt for that route.
One thing that really intrigues me about this game is just how crucial it is for the standings. I know this is only week 1, but when you're in a round-robin best-of-5 group with 3 teams who are all really especially pushing for the top 3 slots, a win against one of those opposing teams is so important. So if the Portsmouth Pirates were able to get themselves that lead going into week 2, it would feel pretty damn good for them.
It would definitely be a great start for them if they were able to get this 2-0. So Stratford Spartans looking to try and come back and play this one a bit cleaner. You can see like with the Alistair, with the Vigar, so a bit more denial, trying to shut down the Portsmouth Pirates a little bit more maybe this time. Trying to make up for the failures in the previous game.
The failures they must be very, very frustrating. I mean, we use the word tilt, we throw it around quite a lot in the League of Legends circle. I mean, 2 Baron steals in the same game to go on to lose from such a dominating position is essentially what tilt is made of.
That definitely is, and you have to have a lot of mental fortitude to be able to come back from that and still perform to a high level. As we're going to see just a blue buff start from Talia. She just generally needs the blue buff, giving her the extra CDR and mana. Definitely crucial in the early game because all of her damage comes from one ability.
So it's interesting to see we've got this, I'll call it a similar style champion in that it's an AP heavy jungler coming in for Purity in comparison to the Nidalee played before, maybe not quite as assassin based as the Nidalee was. However, a real change up for Rito Games who came in, had a slow start in his opening performance for the Pirates. You know, we lauded him as this guy we know and that we kind of, I'm not going to say we wanted to see him fail, but it was always going to be kind of fun to flame him. End of the game, he won it and he had a Baron steal to his name as well. He's coming in on the Elise, which is very different to the Jarvan.
Definitely a very different champion, very different expectations. He needs to be playing a lot more towards the early game, as Elise does. But he also needs to be looking to try and find a key lane to snowball. If it's going to be the Tristana, he can look towards that. If it's going to be the set, he needs to look towards that. But he can't just let this early game pass him by like he did last time on the Jarvan.
That is going to be his aim for the game. We'll see whether or not he is able to accomplish it. He's already making his way down towards the bottom half of the map where there is no vision spotting him out as he looks towards the alcove. We'll see if he's able to make that first crucial gank so early.
Yeah, looking for a quick flank here with the Kai'Sa falling down so much CS in the early game because she didn't get that level 2 first. It's very difficult to bait her out from under that tower.
It's going to be double buff secured by Talia. Purity looking towards the top side of the map, maybe to help this Renekton, who of course can be such a bully in lane.
He's just going to go for a Krugs. Krugs, because of the change now, actually give a lot more experience and gold in the early game, which does definitely help make them a bit more relevant because there was a while there where every jungler's pathing was just better if you ignored Krugs forever. Literally forever, because it gave you so much extra time and didn't really cost you much gold or experience.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for how jungle experience has been working over the last probably half a season actually, but
Yeah.
I'd like to say it's getting close to the balance, but it still feels pretty bad as a jungler to be down so heavily, even on levels to the support getting later into the game.
Yeah, it definitely does if you aren't able to consistently farm well enough. But it's getting there because power farming is actually a bit more relevant now.
The Haymaker puts down some good damage there as Rhydona shows Shieda how it is done with this setup in the top lane, but straight away the turnaround is big as the Crocodile comes in and lands a big old nasty chop.
And that's what you need to do. You need to wait for the Haymaker cooldown before you go in for your key damage combo. Once it's down, again, we talked about this last game. Utilizing the your combo around when the shield is available. Because otherwise your damage is just being mitigated entirely as the flash is burned from Rhydona in that top side, crucially. So Shieda can look to stick to him some more for combos. Renekton is very much an early game bully, as now he can look to trade.
Haymaker comes in, as does the face breaker, but the damage comes in return as Shieda slices and dices. Elise waited for so long there in the mid lane looking for a first gank. However, the only successful gank so far has come out of Purity, blowing that flash on Rhydona in the top lane. Meanwhile, look at the damage being traded here in the bottom half of the map. Leona looking for the Zenith Blade in, just not able to find it. Meanwhile, the Plasma continues to strike, and it is Harry who's eating more of the damage so far.
And Harry is able to actually get a massive CS lead in the spot side. Look at this, 41 to 23. This is an absurd gold lead, CS lead
After
in
5
the early
minutes.
game. After 5 minutes exactly. Should have nowhere near this level of a gold lead. This is essentially 4 waves in 5 minutes that he's been winning over.
That is going to be the cage put down, and the seismic shove is going to land, and Divinus seems to be dead to rights, looking for a potential escape, but it's not going to happen. First blood comes in for Purity, just like it did in game number 1.
A really nice start again for him, as finally a really good trade from Rhydona comes through, as Renekton goes aggressive, not around the Haymaker cooldown yet again. That's why he loses that one out.
Yeah, Facebreaker pulled Shieda there into range of the turret, and just like that, the damage comes through from Rhydona. It is a really, really close game between the two top laners. Crucially, though, Shieda still has that flash available.
Yeah, now I'm looking if Jerome can actually start doing anything with this first kill, if he's able to use the wave to get control at all. He ends up shoving the wave into the tower and just getting it back off the back of it, which isn't really giving him all that much. He's managed to get the corrupting potion. Ooh, big trade.
That is going to be the showstopper being used. The flash away from Shieda, who despite using the Dominus was going very, very low on hit points.
Yeah, the really nice ultimate there utilized by Rhydona. It looks like they're giving up the Ocean Dragon on the bottom side of the map.
Can only assume that Purity was spotted out somewhere, because this is complete control for the Spartans, taking this one away despite losing a little bit of their CS there in the bottom lane as it crashes towards the turret. It is going to be a first dragon secured by Rito Games and Squad.
Yeah, they saw that the Viger hadn't arrived back in lane yet, and bot lane had just recalled and acknowledged that was their timing to be able to go for the dragon. So they do that effectively, get back onto the map.
It is very, very close in terms of gold. Just that first blood gold that is really the difference so far. Interestingly, though, massive CS leads being, well, I say massive, around about 10 CS leads being built up by both the two key carries of the Pirates.
Oh, big stun, but not able to do anything about it, as the Orianna is going to be right there to stop him.
Rito Games there just walking back into the cage as he landed the cocoon.
And this is actually interesting because the bot lane wave is freezing in front of this tower. So this could be utilized by... They should just try and hard shove this right now. Because otherwise the Talia here is going to collapse on them. They need to make sure this wave can't be trimmed at all.
Rhydona trying to keep up in CS, has got a decent amount under his turret. If he secures it all, he'll go level with the Renekton, who himself is able to push things in and actually start to roam a little bit.
So the Vigar now, we want to talk about this composition a little bit, is a really big scaling threat, because we know what he can do when he's not up against the likes of Isaiah. He can just literally throw down that ultimate and just one-shot somebody in those later stages if they get stunned up. The problem when you're going up against the Isaiah is she just has that ultimate at all times to keep her safe. It's so much more difficult to make those plays. Now it is something a lot less safe. There's really only 2 of these champions that can do anything about it, and it is the Elise with the Repel, and of course a huge shield from Rhydona is generally going to stop him from dying to that ultimate. So Jerome has to become that existential threat to Harry the Machine in the late game. He can't let that AD carry roam free.
It's a It's a really tense game. This is befitting of a game that ended so dramatically last time round that the teams actually slow things down. Showstopper is used on Shieda in the top lane. He doesn't use his ultimate in response, so he's going to have something of an advantage in the top lane for a little while. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, we still see Harry being escorted by Rito Games, who's looking for the potential cocoon. The recalls being channeled and being cancelled. Here comes the wall. That's going to be enough to completely block Rhydona off. His flash so close to being back up. He tries to buy himself time with the Haymaker, but Shieda gets his first kill of the game.
Yeah, finally able to pick up that kill, but so close to turning that around was Rhydona. Looks like he is going to go for a Bramble Vest, but this gives Rito Games the ability to pressure onto this tower on the bot side. They're just going to trade plates on opposite sides of the map.
That's exactly what happens. Crucial, really amazing timing there from the Stratford Spartans. You can only assume they timed Rhydona's flash very, very well, because it literally came off cooldown 3 seconds after he died. That's a big old headbutt pulverized, and Ichi's actually putting a decent bit of damage down onto the 3-man squad. The cocoon will land, but here comes Jerome. Nice usage of the reposition there, but Zamini is absolutely obliterated by the primordial burst from the Vigar. The returning shockwave, not enough to pick up a kill, and now it's a 4-0 kill score for the Spartans. This is the way to bounce back from a defeat.
They got that 1,500 gold lead at the minute, nearing 2,000. It's going to enable them to pick up another tower plate in the bot lane. And we were worried that they were going to lose out on that trade, because they were losing so many tower plates in the bot lane. They were taking so much tower damage, and they weren't able to get anything in the top side due to the TP of Rhydona. Instead, the rotation towards the bot side, a really nice pickup from Jerome. Now getting that GLP completed, the Super Soaker, he's going to be able to make a lot more plays with that.
And with so many champions with carry potential, it's interesting to see the kill split. 1-0-0 Renekton, 1-0-1 Talia, 1-0-1 Vigar, 1-0-1 Kaiser. That's everything that the Spartans need to get each of those champions going, as we see the rocket jump and the flash both burnt by Harry the Machine just to stay safe.
And it ends up being the flash for the Alistair traded. Oh, but actually no, it was Purity flashing as well. 2 for the 1. Not really respecting the fact that Tristana could just flash out of that.
I think they thought they'd laid enough of a trap that they were going to be able to get that one going well, but nope, that was really well-timed flashes from Harry the Machine.
Couple seconds too early. If Purity was coming through the tri-brush at the time, it would have been so much easier to pick up, but instead jumps the guns ever so slightly.
Harry's been a real standout. I know we've said it before, but I'll say it again. The performance in the last game on Xayah was, I won't say perfect, but pretty near to it. Meanwhile, doing very well on this Tristana with that CS lead. Now we're going to see the catch coming in, as the Zenith Blade is enough to send Ichi running for the hills. The headbutt will land. The pulverize is there too. Harry the Machine trying to get the damage down, but here comes Purity, and with no flash available, rocket jump already used, Purity manages to get his man this time. The Yordle dies, and so does the Keeper of the Solar Flare.
Just instantly Jerome walks bot lane, does the exact same thing again to Leona, and gets another kill. This is 2-0-1 for him, off of just walking towards the bot side with the Vigar. There's so little that the bot laners can do with about that without their flashes available.
Great timing as well, because the second dragon, this time the Cloud has come onto the Rift. The Spartans will easily be able to pick that one up with the pressure that they've just found, having got those 2 kills.
Now that is the Cloud Dragon going over, so they're going to get the ultimate cooldown off the back of that. Doesn't really help their team all that much, but the Infernals will, as we see it is the Infernal Rift. Means there's a lot less of a choke point availability, because they do spread out, like the dragon area becomes a bit wider. There's obviously no walls around red buff and blue buff. It means that the Vigar is going to have a bit more of a rough time, because he doesn't have the ability to trap multiple people in that choke point as they all walk through. They can fan out a little bit more through the jungle, make it a bit more open plan, you know, it's just interior decorating.
A bit of feng shui.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's just like, ooh, you want to go for that fire aesthetic. Okay, well, if you want to do that, we go for an open plan setup, and we'll put a little alcove in here.
Oh, well, 6-0 kill lead for the Stratford Spartans. I feel like I've seen this somewhere before today.
Yeah, it feels rather familiar.
It's definitely the start the Spartans had last time. Last time they couldn't make good on it, but they are hoping to do better this time round, and they are taking the proverbial bull by the horns. The Pirates finding themselves consistently on the back foot.
Shida is just holding on to this top lane advantage. He's consistently winning out in these trades. Of course, not really much being able to be done by Rhydona when he hasn't built any AD at all, only has that one longsword to his name, needs to pick up a Bramble Vest to really have much of a chance to win out these trades at all, and then by then we need to see how far Renekton's looking to be ahead.
Divinus has got the slenderest of CS leads. The same is said for pretty much everybody across the map against their lane opposition. It is very, very close between all 5 summoners for both of the teams. The 3,000 gold lead comes purely from the extra turret plates that were gained by the Spartans from those kills that they have, and they've translated it into some nice items, specifically looking at that Glacial Augment Viger. Of course, it's such a cheap item to be able to pick up that GLP, but so effective.
Definitely so. We haven't seen him utilize it yet, but we know what it can do when it is utilized as a forces his top laner to flash, unfortunately, over the wall.
But it's a 2v2 that's going
nice
again in
shove.
favour of the Spartans, forcing the flash out of Rito Games. He's already lost Rhydona in the top side, and even though Divinus arrives and even uses the flash, I believe, he's unable to save anyone else.
A really, really nice shove, but unfortunately the Weaver's Wall not so great. Wasn't able to really help. In fact, forced Sheeta to flash rather than forcing the enemy team to use their flashes to get over it.
That being said, still a good proactive play.
Still able to play aggressively, consistently. The Talia 3-0-1 now has a decent lead for herself again over Doctor on this Elise.
Exactly what we saw last time around with the Nidalee from Purity, having that 3-0-1 scoreline, and then it sort of just stagnated for a very long time and eventually almost went into negative numbers. I think it's much more likely this time, especially on this Talia, that we see it snowball further.
It definitely should. We're already seeing a bigger gold lead than we saw through most of last game. This is 4.5k as now that first tower is picked up by the Renekton off the back of that play so very quickly. We're already past 14 minutes and we haven't seen a Rift Herald really do all that much. Not really playing towards it or either team, and that's really odd for this point in the game, as we normally set that prioritized way more highly.
It feels like both teams, especially the Pirates, are slightly playing afraid to lose and not wanting to go for anything that might be a little risky. There have been times where we've seen the Spartans, for instance, taking dragons. Maybe some priority could have gone up there towards the Herald. Pirates not pulling the trigger on that one, and I'm worried that they're starting to fall too far behind. But given that they came back from about a 7 or an 8,000 gold lead last time, is that even a thing anymore? They'll just steal the Baron again, right?
Yeah, they'll just steal the Baron and win the game. It's fine. Even then, if they don't do that, they'll just steal the Elder and win the game. It's great. I mean, if Stratford are going to gift it to you, you take it. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Do you know my biggest disappointment in this game?
What?
The Spartans didn't sub Super Jesus in.
I mean, Purity's been playing so well.
Complete credit, but I only mean because I love to say the name. And so, you know, Super Jesus, just a nice guy. He's super.
When I hear Purity, all I can think of is just Doctor Strangelove.
One of the best films of all time.
Yeah, Purity of Essence. Just imagining that as his full name. Going to be the Rift Herald, finally focused by one of the teams, and it's going to be Stratford Spartans trading sides of the map. But they have to drop this Rift Herald mid, surely.
You'd expect so. The Zenith Blade is going to connect. Solar Flare dropping straight on top of the Kaiser,
TP.
who tries to reposition, manages to get safety for now. It's Leona, who is so low. Overcast picking up the kill onto Zabemian with the TP joining. That is going to be the Renekton chasing away the Elise. The dive goes horribly wrong. The Portsmouth Pirates do secure their first kill.
Good
but
cocoon,
it is
actually.
At the cost of a return kill. And Rito Games, he's running into the middle of nowhere. He did!
That was a really good cocoon, all the same, utilizing it to stop the combo in its tracks of the Alistair, so ends up just headbutting him away, almost able to escape, but they are going to lose the fight. They lose so many kills, and they lose the Infernal Dragon off the back of it.
Once again, the timing of the play in bot lane, absolutely perfect for the Spartans as we see the shockwave, unfortunately missing the flash follow-up from Rhydona, who
he just flashed in place.
I think he thought maybe the shockwave was on him, was trying to reposition. I don't know. What I do know is he's dead. And with the Infernal picked up by the Stratford Spartans, they go 2-1 up in Dragons. They're 10-1 in kills. They're 5,000 goal in the lead. Surely they can't throw this one.
He just flashed directly on top of himself.
It's a alpha move.
I don't even need this flash, and then dies anyway. That's the ultimate alpha move. But Harry the Machine, crucially staying alive and still being a threat. Still up a little bit of CS, nowhere near as far as before. But Kaiser, because of these kills she's picked up in the fights, is snowballing even further ahead. The rest of the team, you look at that Glacial Augment plus the Spooky Ghosts now available. And the Banshee's Veil becoming available for Purity as well. It's going to be even harder to stop.
Crucially, however, for the Pirates, the one kill they did get it onto the Tristana, eventually getting that kill through that dive onto the Kaiser. The Storm Razor has been completed for both of these ADCs, however, with that extra gold coming in from the kills, it is Kaiser who's able to get just a little bit more towards the next item.
And
literally just a dagger ball.
The Kai'Sa, though, has been out on the map for a little while. She has been picking up some gold, so she's probably about 400 gold ahead. The tower plating going to be the difference, really, that's made it up, so Harry the Machine's nearly even. But the Kai'Sa right now is... she's level 10, she still needs to scale, she still needs time to get her evolutions, and once she's got those, she can be a massive, massive threat.
Man, just watching Jada there ripping through the wave, reminding me everything that I hate about Fed Renekton's just completely obliterating the wave, knowing full well that he'll completely obliterate you if you come near, just like we're seeing this damage coming through from Talia, who is now 4-0-2. It is going to be a continued carrying performance from Purity, who's been a real standout for the Spartans so far.
Definitely so. He has been really their MVP in both games, but it can't be understated that Jerome is doing so well. And yes, I know they didn't win last game. That's why I said their MVP.
Can you be an MVP for a team if you're the jungler and you lose 2 Barons?
Yes. That can be the case, because I have done it, because I am a jungler.
And you're always the MVP.
I am always the MVP of every game, because I am the best player.
I am very definitely not.
Oh, I know. I've played with you.
I know.
They banned my Rumble for some reason.
That was a really weird game.
Yep. Yeah, it was. But all the same here.
Sorry, I was just reminiscing there. And
those were the days.
Oh, Shockwave is going to catch on to 2, and just like
Big.
that, we're going to see the owner picking up the kill on Vigo, not even able to use that stopwatch defensively. Up goes Rito Games, but what goes up must come down straight into a turret shot
give me
with
that.
the Ignite burning down. Alistair picks up the kill onto Rito Games. What went wrong, Doctor?
Don't give me the what goes up must come down that you hear 20 times per LEC cast whenever an Elise is played.
But
Come on.
But
You could give me better casticles than that.
But I like this one because he literally came down into turret range.
I mean, that's also true, but...
So it was like, it was an addendum to it, was that fact that he was coming down into the turret range. And I agree, that was cheap. I'll do better.
Yeah,
More set
do better.
jokes incoming.
Oh no.
You did this.
We're set for trouble.
Yes! One of us. One of us. Ah. It's what really sets us apart from the other casters. I'll stop now. I've had my 3 per cast. I don't want to like risk breaching contract.
Was that actually written in new contract?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, signed it earlier.
I see.
Gotta read the fine print, man. Otherwise you end up with like... No, I can't say that. Just thinking about a particular South Park episode where someone didn't read a contract.
Oh no.
If you know,
yeah,
you know.
Don't. You can't say that on broadcast.
I didn't. I alluded to it.
Can't allude to that. Okay.
Oh, you know, here comes the
no.
rocket jump. Look at the damage. The resets is massive.
Oh, wow.
But Kai'Sa with the outplay. Eventually, Rito Games comes in to make it a 1-for-1. But somehow, despite all the odds being stacked against them, Overcast with the Rage Blade fully stacked does manage to get the kill onto Harry the Machine. One of the first misplays we've really seen out of the Tristana this game.
Yeah, the Tristana goes in hyper aggressive, ends up using her W twice in one combat in melee range of the Kai'Sa to try and kill her. And instead ends up just limiting her own DPS and falling down because of it.
That was exactly what happened. The heal even burnt there by Harry the Machine. Still has the flash available. 4th Dragon of the game is coming up. Looks like it's going to be contested. Rhydona using the Haymaker to get the shield, but already finding it easing through. Purity completely unstoppable. Picking up yet another kill as Alistair goes in and actually headbutts Rito Games to safety with the Shockwave going to land. Ichi picks up the kill onto Zamimi. Infernal Dragon is here. This will be a second one going over to the Spartans unless we see yet another Portsmouth Pirate steal. Oriana throwing the ball in, looking to make some kind of Power of Evil style play. What can the Pirates do? It looks like the Spartans are trying to play this one cautiously, trying to pull the Dragon out. That's going to be the nice seismic shove, zoning Rito Games away from the crucial Dragon pit. Spartans are acting as if this were a 4th Drake that they had to secure for Soul. They want it so much, but the Pirates looking for a potential steal as well. That's going to be a catch on Shieda. He's got an explosive charge on his head. Is it enough to pop him? Yes, it is. Harry the Machine gets the kill, but the Dragon goes over to the Spartans.
It is worthwhile trade, giving up your top laner in trade for that Infernal Dragon, putting yourselves on the verge of 3 Infernals and Infernal Soul, which this composition, when you've got this Kai'Sa who's spamming those Ws, you've got the ranged DPS threat of Purity as well, this is a really good Infernal Soul team.
Well, I mean, both teams would be, to be fair, but especially for the Spartans with the mad amount of carriers that they have got. It looks very, very likely.
I don't think
they're
it would
gonna
be as good on Portsmouth Pirates.
No, not as good. Oh, Shockwave is going to catch, but the damage just isn't there. Flash away from the Orianna, trying to get to safety. Zonya's used by the Vigar as the Solar Flare catches as well. It is going to be a 1-for-1. Leona getting that kill to the Vigar, but not before Kai's killed off the Orianna. Talia takes down Elise, and now Zamimi trying to flash for his life. Rocket jump to safety from the Tristana, acknowledging that the fight has been lost by the Pirates in the mid lane.
They can actually go directly for Baron here. The jungler's dead, the mid lane is dead. Those are the two key threats. And you've got your two major DPS threats, Kai'Sa, who melts Baron, and of course the Talia as well. They can just rush this.
And Baron has been started upset, looking to try and make his presence known, maybe trying to force some kind of magical steal. Showstopper is available, Sweeper is going to come through.
Oh, here we go again.
Scrya's Bloom. Here we go again indeed. Rocket jump, repositioning from Harry the Machine, has got the flash available, but surely doesn't want to go anywhere near the inside of this pit. Here goes Set, he flashes forward, he lands the Showstopper, the damage is good, the potential steal is not going to come through. Purity finally securing one with the Smiters, 2 kills picked up by the Stratford Spartans, who have routed the Portsmouth Pirates once again. Harry the Machine trying to flash away, trying to rocket jump to safety, trying to get a kill, but it's not gonna happen. With the Event Horizon locking him in place, Purity completes a set of kills, and that is going to be big time. At least with the shutdown, the last second, the chilling smite of all things. Not like this, not like this. Here comes Shieda trying to dash on forward, but is quickly sent back by the Hextech GLP of Orianna.
A much worse game here for Harry the Machine. You can see he's still a talented AD carry, but he's making too many mistakes. He's stepping too far forward. He's getting caught out. And this is what happens when you're playing Tristana rather than Xayah. You don't have that innate safety. He's playing as if he's still got Xayah. And that's what's causing him to fall down time and time again.
I think he's also being forced into proactive plays because his team are so far behind. He's having to position aggressively and put himself into danger because his team needs something to happen, and he is that something.
This should be on pretty much game unless we see a dramatic change of events like we did last time for the Stratford Spartans. They're just picking up that Baron.
Nice, threaded volley did rip through the health bar of Rito Games, who was able to get yet another cheeky smite. This one doesn't kill an Alistar, but does secure himself a red buff, taking it away from Purity, who was looking for the steal.
But now I have to look at where they utilize this Baron buff, because right now they've just kind of thrown themselves willy-nilly at the mid lane, not really supplying all that much. When they need to be beating up these outer towers, they need more wave setup to rotate into the right waves. You can see that the Tristana is just sitting bot lane right now because they've not set up that wave well enough to rotate into it. The Renekton's still miles away from hitting the tower because the wave wasn't set up well enough in advance. So it means that they're just kind of farming aimlessly, waiting for other members of the team to show up, maybe when they're done with farming another lane.
And finally having the Baron buff, we finally get to see what the Stratford Spartans do with it. We do see the nice face breaker pulling back the Renekton. He loses a little bit of his health to that true damage coming in from the Set, who's got that Black Cleave completed, but you can see how far off another item he is. Split building, got the Bramble Vest, got the pickaxe, building into a whole lot of nothing.
Unfortunately is the case, not really getting all that much from it, but finally we're seeing them split the map as a 1-3-1, and they're finally able to damage these 3 towers at once. They're providing a lot of pressure. And the Renekton can't really be engaged on all that easily by Rhydona.
I mean, he can't, and he's just got 2 massive old siege minions that are just battering down this turret from free, and Rhydona can't go anywhere near it. Does get the face breaker, pulls Shieda in to turret range, gets a bit of damage down, and we can see the recall enhanced being channeled by Shieda, but he decides not to back away, instead waiting for Rhydona to step forward a little bit. Turret is going to fall there in the bottom lane. Rotations coming in from the Stratford Spartans.
Yeah, now they've got a lane set up in the mid lane that they're rotating to with the Vigar already there. They're utilizing this Baron buff effectively now.
And crucially, but the 4th dragon, which would be needed for the soul for the Spartans, is spawning very, very quickly, and with no shock to anyone at all, courtesy of this Baron-empowered push. Complete priority is there for the Spartans.
Yeah, but they do end up recalling beforehand as both Purity and Jerome
got a lot of gold to spend.
Back. Yeah, they've got a lot of gold after taking those towers. Runan's Hurricane now completed from the Kai'Sa.
Unfortunately for the Pirates, they were in no position to try and rush this one down before the Spartans made it back, and so we are going to see yet another dance around the dragon, this one even more crucial than the last.
Now they just need to have enough control of this, and utilizing the Vigar effectively. They've got the Spooky Ghosts coming up in a few seconds. If they hold on to the area control, they can deny Rito Games access into the pits. They can pick him off very quickly.
This is going to be the Spartans' opportunity to get themselves the soul, to get an objective they got in the last game. And here comes the Renekton just dashing straight in. Rydona manages to pick himself up 1 kill, but the threaded volleys are ripping through the rest of the health bars. Harry the Machine is untouched on the outside. He jumps over, picks up a kill, picks up a reset as he takes it down 1. However, now here is Shieda trying to find Rito Games. Harry the Machine still alive, still with the potential to turn this fight on his head. The Infernal Dragon down to around about 3,000 health. Shieda on the outside of the pit. Rito Games so low health, caught out by the Crocodile, taking him down with a slice and dice. Ichi zoning away. Harry, this is going to be the Dragon Soul unless a magical steal comes through from the Tristana. Not today, says Purity. I'll have a Baron, now I'll have a Dragon Soul. Stratford Spartans are 11,000 go in the lead, and they're chasing down the Tristana. They land
what a
the
shove.
seismic shove, and just like that, Purity is 9-0-8. The ultimate carry for the Spartans in this game.
And now they've got this Infernal Soul. It is near impossible for them to lose a fight. We saw Jerome literally do 0 damage in that fight. Landed nothing, provided nothing, just stunned throughout the entirety of it and then died. And yet they still won that fight, essentially 5v4. That's how far ahead the Stratford Spartans are.
It looks like we're going to Game 3. No early night for the League of Legends casters tonight on Belong Arena Clash, and I'll tell you what, I for one would not want one. Not when we've got such high quality gameplay.
Now we've got the final siege coming up. Hopefully for the Stratford Spartans. They just need to play around. They just need to play around this Elder Dragon coming up and the next Baron, and they should have the game secured. They just need to not throw another team fight or another key objective. But they have so much of a lead that we know it's so difficult for them to do so. And Purity almost having a death cap straight up completed.
It is going to be bad news bears for the Portsmouth Pirates if they get caught out, especially by Purity right now, and that's exactly what has happened to Rito Games. He tries to get himself to safety, just about gets out from the rappel. That is going to be Kaiser landing a massive old plasma charge onto him, decide not to follow up with the Killer Instinct, but with the Baron spawning yet again. Rito Games has been sent packing, so has the rest of the Pirates team, and for certain it feels like another Baron will go for the Spartans. They lost out on 2 from steals last time. This time they're trying to make good on it. That's going to be Solar Flare catching on to Jerome. However, he does get slowed down again. Potential shockwave not being used. Jerome trying to dash away. Teleport coming in behind the Portsmouth Pirates. Zenith Blade is flashed away from the Baron. Has been started up by the remaining members of the Stratford Spartans. Now they turn, looking for the fight. Here comes Alistair. He has the ability to headbutt. He has the ability to pulverize. Which teammate of the Pirates is going to be the first to fall? It might not be any, because the health bars are being shredded as Rydona Carry takes down Overcast. The Kaiser is missing, and Harry the Machine is pulling off the great escape one more time. Divinus is alive. The triple for Harry the Machine. The Baron will go to the Pirates. It's game 1 all over again.
Again, this is happening. Yet again, they throw the game at Baron with Infernal Soul. They lose a Baron fight with Harry the Machine showing up in the fight. Okay, let's break down what happened there. Kaiser did nothing, didn't ult, and died. And she's literally your DPS threat with a Runan's Hurricane and a Gwynsu's Rage Blade. Just sits fighting a Leona on the side of the fight, then dies completely, just getting one shot. We saw the Vigar provide very little. Basically, like, the Shockwave and the Solar Flare were already down when that fight started, and they still couldn't clean it up. That is honestly pathetic. That was so poorly played, that was so split, they just couldn't find a single thing.
You talked about the damage that Showstopper can do earlier on, and it absolutely ripped through the health bars, delivering that Renton straight into the middle of carries, and just like that, Rydona
They win a fight with Baron, and now Elder's going to spawn. Elder's going to spawn while they have Baron, so this entire build-up to this game, this entire 10,000 gold lead they had, worthless. Because they've lost control of the waves, they've lost control of the map, now they lose Elder, and they probably lose the game off the back of it. I'm so disappointed.
The Portsmouth Pirates are doing now exactly what they did in the last game, stealing away a Baron essentially, and then doing something with it. They've shoved out the waves, they've regained control of the map, as you say, with the Elder once again spawning in about a minute and a half's time. They are going to be the ones who have got the push priority.
I can't even discredit Portsmouth. They played the fight well. They did fine with the tools they were given, but they should never been given that opportunity. They didn't deserve that opportunity for how the rest of the game's gone, and now suddenly they've been thrust back into control.
Definitely desperate times for the Spartans. They still have themselves a massive lead, but they had one the last game, and they must be starting to have flashbacks. How is their mental game? Can they bounce back and take the next fight, which could be the crucial one, because now the Pirates are starting to knock on the door of the Spartans' base.
And now we see the Spartans have to show some fortitude again. They came back from a throw in game 1, where they were able to still have a very strong early game in game 2, but now looking at in game 2, after the strong early game, they still yet again make crucial mistakes around a key objective. After having literally 9, 0, and 8 on Purity, it suddenly just doesn't matter.
Talia with the Weaver's Wall
But
there.
she isn't going to follow it because she's got no follow-up.
Essentially an ultimate wasted, and at such a crucial time because the Elder Dragon is spawning in 30 seconds time. Set is pushing in the top lane, he's taken a turret. The rest of the Pirates retreating, making sure they have got the ultimate items they can have for this next big fight.
We've seen, even though he's 3 and 6, this Set do a ton in fights. He's got that Sterix Gauge completed, he's got the Black Cleaver completed. They are TPing into the bot lane there from Oriana. She wants to get the wave shoved out, so they have priority on Elder. All members rushing there other than Set, who has TP already.
Sin, this is it. I know there have been misplays, I know there have been mistakes made by both teams, but this is why I love League of Legends. This is why I cast this game and want to show up to events like this. It is absolutely enthralling to watch. This game, once again, could all come down to one well-executed fight. The Pirates did it last time. Can the Spartans bite back?
And it has to come down to this. This is the crucial objective. This has to be the moment that they own it. This has to be the Stratford Spartans showing why they were able to dominate both early games. They have to utilize the fact that they have this Infernal Soul, the fact that they have so many items. They can't let it slip again, because if this Elder Dragon goes down, it's likely to be game over the other way.
Baron has expired. The Shockwave lands onto 3, and that's going to be the go sign. Solar Flare's going to drop straight down. Here comes the showstopper. That's going to be Harry the Machine taking down Jerome before he's able to even unleash any hell. Harry the Machine picks up 2 but gets killed off by Shieda. That is going to be him dashing through as many members as he can. Has the damage still here for the Portsmouth Pirates? Can they take out the Crocodile? Zamimi flashes himself away, staying alive. Just Shieda. He's low. He's running from Rhydona, but Kaiser's still alive. She's shredding through. 2 versus 3. This is so tense.
And unfortunately, both junglers die, so neither of them can commit to this Elder. Neither of them willing to take the health damage, although...
No way. No way.
Rhydona. Oh, they both recalled. Are they going for it?
They're going for it, and with nobody else present, there are no massive damage dealers. There's no shred here for the Pirates.
There's no
but they are
ward.
left alone. There is full vision control. The Spartans, when will they arrive? When will they realize? Will it be too late?
Oh god, they put the blue ward down, but they don't spot anything with it.
That's going to be the Shockwave just used for extra damage, trying to rip through. Kaiser helps out as well. Here comes a full health Renington. There's a Elder Dragon that's down to 1,500 health. There's no smite. Solar Flare
there
there.
it is.
That's going to be the Pirates getting themselves the Elder. The Showstopper is used. The health bar not quite low enough to be executed for the Kaiser. How did she not die? Where was the execute?
I'm confused as well. Where was the execute? Does the execute fade when he dies?
I can only assume that was the case and that they ticked below the health after he was dead. That is my only explanation for that. All I know is the Pirates just got the Elder.
So they deny it from the Stratford Spartans. The Pirates now get to hold on to this.
Baron's up in 30 seconds.
Oh, this is actually crucial because I believe Harry the Machine had respawned in time to have that. We could see that Rito and Divinus both have it. I need to see if the Tristana had spawned in time to get it.
We'll find out in a moment. Harry the Machine just coming out of base now. It's going to be the Scuttle Crab secured by the Stratford Spartans. At least they get themselves that small saving grace. The gold lead is still at 5,000, but at 37 minutes, none of that matters. The Infernal Soul is more crucial, but it's not as good as having an Elder Dragon buff, and that is exactly what the Pirates will have on some of their members, at least, including Tristana
there we
for
go.
at least another 2 minutes.
And her having that is crucial. She is the key DPS. She is the one who's going to be getting those executes, diving onto the back line and resetting off of it.
The damage just from one shot. Jerome loses nearly half of his health.
And there goes the Spooky Ghost as well. So they lose one of their key engage/disengage tools.
That's going to be a recall coming in from Jerome. Does have the teleport available. Rito Games just throwing out a volatile Spiderling, trying to get some damage down. But look at the return damage straight onto Zomimi. Surely will have to recall. Will not have the teleport available.
I think he's actually just going to stay out here. He's a
It's
CC bar.
dangerous.
He's looking for perhaps a plant. No, he's going to recall when he sees the plant isn't available. But they need to do something with this Elder as soon as possible. They need to
They've
go
got to
for
force.
this 5v5. They need to just force the Baron right here. This is Zamini staying on the map.
It's been started up. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Shieda pushing in. Shockwave does land onto 2. Shreds through the health of Jerome, who's already hasn't used that teleport to rejoin, so he can.
There it is!
But that's the execute coming in, and the Baron's being shredded as well. Look at Harry just DPSing for days. Smite through from Rito Games. He gets himself another Baron in this game. 2 Barons one at a time, and in goes Harry, but he's low. He's able to survive. The shield is there from Oriana. Golden Alistar is not there for long. Harry and the machine is gonna get 2 just like that. More damage, more executes. Purity's dead. This is the game for the Portsmouth Pirates. They have come back from 10,000 goal behind for the 2nd game in a row, and the Stratford Spartans will watch their base be ripped apart.
And the mental fortitude on display for the Pirates to come back yet again after a dominating early game performance from the Stratford Spartans. Somehow they've done it. Somehow they've pulled it back. And Portsmouth Pirates with a huge upset.
That's going to be Nexus turret number 1 falling. Only Shieda is around, and with the Shockwave missing, it doesn't matter because the Showstopper has stopped the show, and that Showstopper is called Harry the Machine. He has carried his team 2 games in a row. A dominant performance from the ADC of the Portsmouth Pirates. Our 5-time champions are back to play.
How? 2 games in a row do you go 10-3 as the jungler and still lose? This feels like my solo queue. This is absurd. Again, they lose a key fight around Baron. They lost the fight because they split up and lost the objective off the back of it. They played so well up until that point, but when it comes to that objective control, they don't seem to have the communication that matters. They seem to become too one-track minded. Everybody's doing their own thing, and they lost multiple objectives across this series because of that. That is what cost them. That's the takeaway, because I feel like they can take a fight to the London Lionhearts with early game performances like that. But they can't let those late game fights slip away from them.
It was an incredible series. We've had 2 great series tonight. We got to see the Sutton team, the Spectres. I worked that out on my own.
Versus the Vikings,
The
yeah.
Spectres against the Vikings, which was a great series. Spectres in their debut performance, dropping out 2-0 to the Vikings there. And then, oh my dear God, what a series we have just witnessed. 2 of the biggest comebacks in Belong Arena Clash history, back-to-back from the Portsmouth
10k
Pirates.
down.
2 Baron steals.
If the Baron,
Just-
if the Baron,
everything.
if that Baron, first Baron, again, that first Baron fight didn't happen, game was over again. It was right, literally at the last possible
Yep.
moment they could turn the game. Portsmouth Pirates turns the game again and again.
Yep, exactly. The first Baron steal from the Syndra, the second time, the fight which arguably should never have happened around the Baron
Yep.
pit where they clean up.
And now this one as well.
Absolutely stunning scenes. Breathtaking stuff, heartbreaking
Absolute
on Valentine's
scenes.
Eve for the Spartans. They are going to lose. They're now going to have to work their way through the rest of the group if they want a chance.
And it looks like an amazing group to watch after these games.
Exactly. We've got to be, keeping our eyes pointed towards the London Lionhearts, who have had their bye week this week. They'll have watched those games, and they know they've got competition. Admittedly, if they perform anywhere near the level they performed against the Steelers in our last final, they'll still be damn hard to beat. But now they might just be a little scared. Absolutely great stuff. A massive thank you to all of the players tonight who have put on such a wonderful show for us. Of course, to our wonderful production, everyone involved with the Belong Arena Clash. To this wonderful man, as much as he's rejected me about 1,000,000 times, the fantastic
I love you,
Stuart Sin
Twitch chat.
McLeod. He loves you, Twitch chat. Doesn't love me. I've been Greyheart. Good night.